Mm-hmm. What up? So we'll get right to this. Earlier this week, I was just sitting around doing nothing, or last week or whatever. I guess you could say late last week. I was just chilling, and Andre sent me this email. And the first thing I see is the Washington Post 1619 project. And I kind of shrugged my shoulders at it and laughed for a second, but then I get to reading it, and then I kind of get upset. And the reason why I got upset is totally vindicated reason. Um, this last year, for a fact, no opinion, your boy has fucking made it to where that's kind of what I've been focused on is 1619, literally. Like these weekly updates is based on that fucking year, dude. There's no there's no confusion about it. There's no nothing like and I'm looking for the email right now. If not, I'll just have to pull up a website and copy the hopefully it'll stay. One moment. But it really is one of those things that I just didn't understand how I still don't understand how a concept that is fairly known about has gone this long in the year without anybody even picking up on. I want y'all to think about this right here. The reason why most people know about the 1619 year date is because the Hebrew Israelite dudes, right? Whatever white guy told them that you guys are Hebrews, they've been banging on that for a long time. Okay, they've had an idea of when we got here for a very, very, very long time. So my point is this. Do you guys remember this video? I can't find the thing, so I'm gonna have to pull up another channel, go to YouTube, and it's called 1619 a Myth. And it's like it's a video I did about a year ago, and it pretty much challenges the structural integrity of what is known as the 1619 date. And in the video, I go over many different dates where in which the Portuguese, the main force that they use in the 1619 article, they claim that the Portuguese king wanted to create a trans-African continent. Okay, and that he sent people looking for gold, and if they hadn't brought these already slaves with them and landed in a Gulf Coast and sold these people for next to nothing, that slavery virtually would have never started here. But that's a bold-faced lie. But it does indicate that the people they were bringing over at first probably weren't actually servants. It's actually a proof that they were more than likely, as I've always said, Amorite or Moorish peoples, okay, who already were of like a dignitary or royal status. That's important. That's always going to be important. You can't really you can't negate that and try to antiquate that and say, well, that's not important because check this out, dude. If a person says, I've been doing this business for X amount of time, right? And we're worried about a point in place in business that hypothetically is hundreds of years later from when they first start their business. So that goes against itself. Martin Etta sent me a video, and I'm gonna see if I can pull up all these links. But first, I just got to get to that super duper old video, 1619 a Myth. It's gonna just take me a little half second to navigate there. But while I talk to y'all, I just want you guys to really just really hone in on that. That for a year now, or going into this whole process of the year, I have these weekly updates, and I've constantly have reminded my people, hey, this is about holding 1619 to the fire. We're holding that year to the fire as far as our understanding of a 400-year prophecy, understanding if this was the problem. Martin sent this thing, and in one of them, which both kind of hit and talk about the Portuguese to a level of distinction. But the point is this: In the one video, it clearly says the Portuguese started slavery in like the 1400s, 1500, And then in another video, it doesn't pick up until the 1700s with the Igbo people. Now, why this is so important is because, one, you're either saying we've been here 200 years longer than the prophecy has stated we would be, Yah forbid, right? Or you're saying that our indentured actually started in the 1700s, right? And then we got another 100 years to go, Yah forbid. See, either one of those ways, there's a fallacy in the thinking. There is no way you can tell me that form of thinking, that mode of thinking has any real merit to it, because you have to hold every piece of history and try to put it all together. And the stuff that's not fitting probably doesn't belong there. Now, with that said, with that put forth and promoted, 1619 is more about them trying to vindicate and justify why those people were brought here that year, which angered me at first, but now I'm not angry about it because I'm understanding the reasoning for it. They're trying to distinguish a specific reason why in which these people were brought to this land. Not, oh, just us already black people here. And there was black people that the Portuguese worked with for hundreds of years before they brought these black people here. No, they're trying to distinguish that this event or these events are what actually led to these people being brought to the land. How true that is doesn't really matter. What matters is the fact that they're trying to pick on 1619 and give people that 400-year hope. Whoo, come on. But are we going to make it out the year and then nothing happened and then crush people's hopes and dreams and dash all their beliefs on the rocks? Right. See, that's the danger in everything. You don't know, and because you don't know, you have to really be circumspect as far as what you're going to put into your noggin, and then how much of it you're going to entertain when you put it into your noggin. It's really not a matter of you not liking somebody or me not liking somebody. It really has more to do with the fact that you have to step up. And when I say step up, I'm not saying that people aren't doing what they can do already. I'm saying that you have to not, you can't believe what people are saying just because they're saying it. Because, like I said, you have one thing that says that the Portuguese pick up and do their thing in the 14 and 1500s, which I've been saying for a long time. And the Spaniards, see, and when you talk about the Portuguese, you can't forget about the Spanish, because the fucking Portuguese were like, they were powerful, but they were pretty much like underlings for the Spaniards for a long time. And I can't stress that enough. The reason why this is so important is because when people talk about the Spaniards doing what they did in slavery, well, you can't forget it. I mean, the Portuguese, what they did in slavery and how wicked they were, you can't forget the fact that they took a lot of their cues from the Spanish. And people are like, how, what do you mean? Well, first off, this whole setting across the Atlantic and all this stuff right here, you have a hard time telling me that the Spanish and the Portuguese weren't working lockstep with guys so-called discovering the land, right? But the Portuguese already knew it was here. Can you dig it? Right? And then bringing the bodies that it takes to actually turn the soil. Thank you. Come on now. Now, did it go into all the failed colonies of the beginning of America? No, because those are English colonies, not Portuguese. So y'all need to understand and distinguish the parties from one another and how they all work lockstep to achieve this shit. It's not just one group who did their thing and then they fucking came out on top. That's not what happened. All right. There's a clear level of cooperation from every single one of these groups that if you really allow that to escape you, then the whole point of what I'm talking about is moot. Everything I just said means nothing. One moment. I think I'm right there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to appeal one day. I'm gonna have to appeal my white heaven, the rapture that already happened, because I've never appealed it, so I still have the ability to appeal. Listen, when I appeal that, I'm gonna let you guys know. I'm gonna need you guys to put the pressure on YouTube so that way I can get that video back. White heaven, the rapture that already happened. I told y'all that's arguably my greatest work ever. As far as like information that I put together at one time for everybody. Man, I mean, really, 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 and it's just unfortunate because you would hope that you're able to prove yourself to people without this happening to you. But when you do the right thing, you know what I'm saying? That's what's gonna happen. What's up, Brother Wickham? Hi, Sister Tammy. And this is that link. Bam. That's for the 1619 is a myth thing or whatever. But the whole point is this. How is it that you have a group of people who fail to recognize and fail to understand or appreciate what it is that we're really going through? Like I said, I appreciated when Andre sent me the link, but I almost got kind of sick to my stomach because I was like, I'm pretty sure nobody all year has really been focused on this, but me. So just like I will never get credit for this sorry ass bastard Genesis Apologetics stole a whole concept that I'm not gonna say I'm the first guy to ever say. I'm the first dude in modern times to ever say that Earth was Pangea, and I can prove it biblically. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. I did that, okay? And the sorry ass bastard stole it. A video that I still have yet to get over 150 views for. This guy has over 1 million views for his shit. Now he disabled the comments and all kinds of weak shit, so you can't go in there and be like, "Yo, I know where you got this from." Dude stole hella concepts. I could name a few other YouTubers that you guys probably don't know about who have taken concepts literally. I mean, like, rinsed them from my fucking hands because nobody sees me way down here. Ask yourselves this. Why wait this long into the year? Other than for people to be waiting to see how the year ends. We're at that crescendo moment. We're at that moment where people can obviously see like and say, okay, you know what? We might be onto something. Obviously the conditions and the atmosphere of the geopolitical landscape, whatever you want to call that, is set to where hostility, turmoil, violence, volatility, whatever you want to call it, all those things can take place. It's all possible, and I don't want to seem coy or seem like I don't know what I'm talking about. But just another case in point. Y'all remember the last weekly update when I talked about the sheriff who said he got shot? Now mind the fact that it came out just 2 days ago or a day ago that it said that dude fake being shot. Do y'all remember me telling y'all the shit was suspect when it happened? Nigga, I told you it was suspect. Literally fucking said, yo, that doesn't make any sense. I told you. Right, and then it comes out fucking days later, this punk bitch faked it. But Meech don't know what he's talking about. You see what I'm saying? Man, there's so many different things I can point to that I've been literally 100% right about, not wrong about at all. And a nigga can't get no love because guess what? It's not built for me to get the love. It's built for somebody else to get the love. And I don't sweat that as much as I sweat the fact that people don't think I know what I'm talking about. It's insulting. It's insulting. See, all these YouTube dudes are sad because they ain't been talking about 1619. The only nigga been steady on 1619, this guy. All those other black dudes are sad about it. Now they want to try to diminish the 1619 project as opposed to embracing it. But you know what that means, right? You have to embrace the scripture. Come on now. I'm trying to break it down to you guys. Y'all already know, but I'm trying to, for everybody coming forward later who gonna see it and get disgusted and watch 10 seconds to turn it off, I need them to hear that before. I need them to get that before. If they skip forward and they hear nothing else and hear just that, I need them to hear that. They need to, that is a must that they hear that. That there has been one person, one party steadily for the entirety of this who has said the same thing that I'm saying right now, which is mine, which is me, myself. These people who have done what they've done, brought over a strange, I believe that. They brought a strange Negro. But what that means is that they were already dealing with Negroes. Right. So this vindicates everything that Martin Etta sent to me, but I already said this shit like literally a year ago. Right. So I don't need somebody to tell me something that I've already said. What's happening, Martin? I need somebody to say, okay, well, bro said that, or have the memory to say, oh, bro did say this before. Even if I don't carry on in the exact details, if I even hint to what they're talking about, trust and believe, your boy probably has a little more in-depth understanding to that than he's letting out. I have nothing to prove to anybody, not a damn thing. I brought genetics to the forefront for people to understand that motherfuckers you're looking at aren't even really human. Based on their own standards. Based on their own standards, they're not human. Right. And I've made it easy for people to see that. I've made it to where there's no denying that. Yet, cats don't want to see, hey, if this dude Demetrius hadn't been talking about this 1619 shit, there's possibility. I want you to understand, I've been talking about it all since this time, since like July last year. I've brought it up since June last year. I've brought it, but really, I could argue since the White Heaven and the Rapture that already. I mean, there's so many different videos that I made that vindicate what I'm saying. I have been talking about slavery for forever. I've been talking about our 400-year struggle here for forever. I've been wondering if these dirty bastards are going to still an extra 30 years and it be more like the Egyptian bondage, or if we're literally coming up on our 400-year mark and everything that they're doing right now is setting it up to where on April of next year, which will be the start of the new year. Whoo, come on. In April of next year, can you dig it? Shit could really be fucking going down. You got to understand, this is why I told y'all about how the months work in the book of Enoch, and understand how this is why the Messiah told people, pray that the flight is not in the winter. Because this is vindication that even he does not know when the shit is going to pop off. Thank you very much. And this is his anointed. So when people get upset with me for talking about the stuff that I'm talking about, know that I'm not coming from just one silly ass angle. I'm coming from several silly ass angles. So you're going to have to kill off you have to literally destroy every single point that there is. And in the middle of you destroying every single one of those points, chances are you've crushed your own validation, because I'm using literal history to support what I'm saying. Truth, facts, whatever you want to call it, absolutes support Demetrius. So even if I pull it out my ear, know that I pulled it out my ear from something that actually exists. And I might be off a couple years. I might be embellishing a few numbers, but don't worry. The actual information itself, the structure of it, I'm not lying about. And that is the point right now, is that if you look at the time from where in which I started talking about 1619, right? And I'm talking about my overall study of it, not just a video named after that. Until now, I have laid so much groundwork for this project to even fucking take place. Anybody who's actually dealt with me, like Andre knows, I deal with some of the worst suppression there is for anybody who's on YouTube. I should have way more followers for the type of content that I have. But the thing is that how powerful the message is Black people probably wouldn't be listening to a lot of these other suckers, because I'm going to give you some hope. I'm going to give you something to look forward to. And I'm not asking for anything from you. So I literally break the mold in so many different ways. There is no PayPal link, even though Demetrius has a PayPal, but that's for way other purposes. That's for when I do online deals and stuff like that. Right on? You'll never get my PayPal. You'll never know it because it's not under my name. You'll never. I wish a nigga would try to super chat me. I'll refund their money. I'm not taking shit from nobody. I'm just not. I have learned to suffer and deal with that. And for most of these guys, once again, it's no problem for them to ask you for something because they feel like they're giving you something. On that level, I understand. But I don't understand if they say that they love their people. If they really love you that much, to do it for free, bro. Love doesn't cost nothing. It shouldn't. It costs nothing. Kindness costs you nothing. And I'm normally kind because I have love in me. You understand? So that it costs nothing to love somebody. And if all you have is kind words to give them, those kind words cost you nothing. The time that I've spent researching didn't cost you anything. All I need for you to do is appreciate that I've put the time in to say what I'm saying to you from a stance where in which, once again, I'm not just pulling it out my ear. But there are a lot of there are a plethora of them that you can look for who have nothing positive to say. They have no hope to give you. They can't even point to a real life happening being something right out the scripture. I knew once I seen Trump wanting to construct the so-called wall, which are the walls of Babylon, all throughout the southern border and the states that border Mexico. I knew then we were dealing with a prophecy. I knew once the struggle started to get the wall going, I knew even then, even more, we were dealing with the prophecy. But once I saw this man win battles that he should not have won in court, I knew for a fact we were in for one. People, we're dealing with a group of human beings, Gentiles, whatever you want to call them, who overstand where we're at right now in this prophecy. They have a very good idea, and they're trying to reverse engineer everything. Okay? They're trying to reverse engineer this entire situation, because if they don't, what's going to happen? You, me, and the rest of the people like us, the stranger and everything, get free. And that just goes, and then let me caveat real quick into the stranger concept. I didn't want to make another video about the stranger within our people, because then I would be giving too much juice to the ADOS people, but I'm going to have to real quick. So this is why 1619 doesn't hurt ADOS, but it's further vindication as to what I say. There are different groups who have different grievances. A person who's Aboriginal, as opposed to someone whose family was brought here, even if you have roots that are Aboriginal, if you don't have fraternal roots that are Aboriginal to this land, your claim is only so legitimate to that understanding. If you are completely Aboriginal, you have no stake in the argument of the Black people that were brought here, right? But because Black people of the different of the different genealogies can't even agree on the fact that they're all not the same, but understand that they all don't come from the same places. That's how stupid they are. Stupid, not ignorant, not unwise, not unlearned, stupid, because there is a presence of knowledge that they're clearly ignoring. Okay? Ignorance is normally the absence of information. They're stupid because it is presently available for them. They may even know it, and they choose to deny as to accept. But they'll tell you that if I could still share the screen with y'all, I could show you guys, like I've shown you in the past, Aboriginal people who are Black and have curly hair with beards don't look like Black people. They don't. They only look certain. They only look kind of sort of like you. But once you really, boom, put one next to it to the other one, you can see the certain features that are similar between the two groups. But outside of that, you can see the total differences. I mean, they're night and day different. Okay. When I talk about people like the Son Bushmen, the reason why I used the Son Bushmen for that little period of time that I did over a year ago is because they too are a group that I can use. What are the benefits of being Black? Let me get to that in a second. Give me 1 second. No, I'm gonna answer that question though. It's okay that it got deleted, but I'm still gonna answer that. So the San Bushman people, or the Bantu people, San Bushman people, they are a group that have tight wound curls. Hair doesn't grow very much, don't grow a whole lot of facial hair. I contend that groups who look like them of a darker hue existed in America as well. I contend that the admixture of Aboriginal blood to that phenotype, or their phenotype to Aboriginal blood, creates a person who looks very much like you and I. Right. There's distinguishable differences between them also. I'm not going to get carried away in that, but this is just me pointing out how ADOS loses juice if you come at it from the point of view that I come at it from. But if you use my point of view off tops and initially, then ADOS actually has more energy. But if you deny the fact that black people are different, then you lose your battle, because at some point, shape, and form, they're going to see they're not the same. Now, to get to Ranny X, the question that you asked, big dog, and I didn't actually see anything disrespectful, but everybody knows kind of who's been modded up. They kind of just know that if they see something that they don't like, just get rid of it. So just going forward, big dog, you know what I'm saying? Just use your tact, use all your tact. But black people, what's the benefit of being black? I guess the first benefit is that there's a far less question of your genetic legitimacy to the planet. Now I know that I've contended in the past that there are black Gentiles. That's fine. Even them though, they're not as questioned as far as if they belong here or not as a white person is, or somebody who's just not black, who doesn't look like they could be aboriginal to the land. So the first benefit to being black, right, whatever hue that is, even from the Middle Earth Gentile thing, is that you have a more bona fide argument that you actually belong here on Earth. Whereas there are groups of people who are considered Anglos or Caucasoids, as people like to call them, right? But in general, white people, Indo-Europeans, who have a very hard time distinguishing their history. They actually don't know where they came from. I've gone over this for a long time. For years and years and years, I've explained this. I've explained how the Franks are the strongest group still to this day. The proof being to it that guy Macron showed how much power he has by swinging the dude from Iran in there. You know what I'm saying? And totally upsetting the whole situation. You can't do that unless you will power. That's the only way you can do that. That's the only way you can do that. And France, or the Franks, or the strongest of all the so-called Germanic tribes, they have maintained their supremacy over the world. Now, with that said, France is tied to the Vatican because the first true Frankish leader, Clovis, was a Christian convert who forcefully converted many of the other Ostrogoth, Visigoth, and Goth tribes into being Christians. There was a lot of forced conversion that took place. You could argue that St. Patrick, that guy, is actually forcibly converted many of those Irish, and that's how he was able to save them. Otherwise, the king was going to kill them all. But let's not get into that. But just speaking on it means that you have to understand their history. You see what I'm saying? And most of these people who are talking about it, they can't pull. I freestyle, okay? I freestyle for the most part. I look up the information, I research it, I try to retain as much as I can, and bam, I go. A lot of these other dudes depend on folks to send them all the links to everything. And I mean, they actually depend on them to do that. If Martin, Andre, or Tammy, or Steve, or Mike, or Roger Spice, or anybody, Sister Smith, Brother Smith, anybody, fucking who to stop by? Dwight Hayes, Brother Hayes, I ain't seen him in a minute. Anybody who decides that they're gonna send me some information, they do that all on their own free will. You know, I'm not gonna say that I don't enjoy it and I don't appreciate it, because I do. But that's not the end all be all to the situation if they don't. And for a lot of these other individuals, they don't have to do the comparative research because other people do the comparative research for them. I do my own comparative research for the most part. That's why I'm so confident in what I say. Hell, I could be overly confident in what I say to some people. They'd have to prove me wrong. But I already told y'all earlier, in the middle of trying to prove me wrong, you're going to diminish your own points. I built my argument like that on purpose. So you won't just be fucking antiquating what I say and then making it worth nothing. Everything that I said this evening is vindicated. That 1619 stuff, your boy, right here. Get all my look. You can just look through my videos, and If anybody's ever listened to me, y'all know that I've been talking about this for forever. It's not new to me. Like I said, when Andre sent me the link to the thing, I was like, this is bullshit. That's exactly what I said. Because it is. It mitigates the arguments of the people who have legitimate grievances. It mitigates the whole ADOS thing. Because now you're going to antiquate all those years before this. So none of that means anything? Nah, fuck that. See, this is why people don't understand. It's that dangerous. But no offense to Yvette Carnell. You know what I mean? I'm sure it was a black dude who broke her heart a long time ago and she ain't never recovered. No offense to the young lady, but check this out, man. This is why if they keep going on this 1619 tangent, she's gonna lose a bunch of steam on the ADOS. She's gonna lose a lot of steam. Sorry. Because she has failed to distinguish all the different parties involved who could potentially be American descendants of slaves. Right. The foundational Black Americans is a much, much stronger point of view because you're not looking to you're not isolated in one period of time. You see what I'm saying? You can pick any generation of foundational Blacks if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to go there. Obviously, the generation I'm going to pick with is a generation that got freed from slavery, that where all the major inventors come from. You guys have already heard how I feel about this. If they had never stolen everything from Black people, allowed Black people to have their own patents, the level of inventions that were made in this country would have been, there would have been so many inventions made by Black people, it would have been crazy. They literally killed our creative juice by burning down Black Wall Street and by never allowing the Black man to have the creative insight over his own ideas. But that's probably for the best. Now, with that said, Black people didn't see that as a telltale sign that there's something about you, right? They thought, oh, Master's still mad that we ain't his no more. No, bruh. It's something deeper than that. It's bigger than that. And when people can't accept that, they're never going to get to anywhere. Now, another thing I want to hit on real quick is note how China, Russia, Iran. Now, these are the three. I've been saying these three groups for a super duper long time as well. You'd have to go back over a year for me saying these guys are going to fucking invade this country. It's kind of obvious. Or they're going to have a large hand to do with the invasion of America. Whenever Babylon is attacked by every nation in the world that day, and the broad walls fall and the high gates burn in fire and the people toil in vain in the fire, that day, okay, trust me, the Iranians, the Russians, and the Chinese are going to have played a part in that. I wouldn't doubt if the North Koreans played a little hacking job part in that as well. You know, this goes into what I talked about also last week about all these ransomware attacks. I don't think these ransomware are by the hackers they claim. It just seems more logical that they don't want the American public to panic right now as to possibly dealing with foreign hackers who are trying to down the system. It's the last thing you want to tell the people, that you actually don't have control of the situation. Oh no, who's trying to hear that? Nobody. Once again, though, I can't stress to you enough. I can't express it to you enough that I'm not the only dude who knows what he's talking about. But as far as the scriptural stuff, as far as this prophecy stuff is concerned, I might be the only guy on the whole internet right now actually trying to use the scripture, line it up, and say, okay, this is where we're at. In a week, I'm going to come with my prediction as to where we're at in the Enoch prophecy with the animals, you know, the sheep and all that stuff, the rams and all that stuff. I'm gonna take my educated, stabbed, I mean, it's a very educated staff guest here at this point. But I have to go there. I have to try to show you guys how close we could possibly be to the end of all this. So you have to get your hearts right. You got to get your souls right. You got to stop wanting things here in this land to go your way for you. You got to just want it to go good enough that you stay alive to possibly see the end. So I tell the Most High, if you just let me get to see the beginning of the end, I'm telling y'all I can die happy. I'm telling y'all I can die happy like that. I can leave like that. People are like, don't you want to go to the promised land? Don't you want to make it? Of course I do. But even if I didn't, I feel like everything that I've put forth at this point, everything that I've done at this point has been so influential. Even if I'll never get the actual credit that I rate and deserve, and I know it. And I know it. Not one of these cats will ever deny it. Not one of them. Not one of them. And they all know who I am. Every last one of them. And that's the thing, is where I'm at that point where I can understand that cats they can't see what it is that I'm seeing. I feel like I'm by myself on a tiny little island sometimes, because out of all these people who say that they care about Black people, it's like I'm the only one who's saying, hey, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that either. Matter of fact, you should do this. They all got these ideas. If Black people just put their money together, Black people have been putting their money together since they got out of slavery, dog. Okay? Since they got out of slavery, they've been putting their fucking 2 pennies together. Okay? They've been doing that forever. Aggregating their resources. How do you think those first Black leaders got to where they got? Huh? When you look into their funding, and their funding was relatively obscure. Right. So when they say the nonsense that they're saying, Black people just need to do this more, need to do this more. No, what Black people need to do, the ones that are really the people out of that book, the so-called children of Israel, so-called Israelites, so-called Hebrews, those people need to humble themselves. And I'm glad that the riffraff left, because they're the people I'm talking about. They have no humility. I guarantee most of those people who left felt some type of way, because I'm stabbing at their heroes. I don't care. I don't care. Want to know why? Because their heroes can't go toe to toe with little old I. I tells the truth, shames the devil, and don't want nothing for it. They're hugged up with the devil. Want you to pay them because they're saying the devil hasn't corrupted me yet. What kind of sense does that make? These same dumbass bastards tell Black people not to be afraid to travel, but they haven't told y'all in 14 months you need a passport to go anywhere in this bitch on a plane. I've been the only guy stressing it. It's not going to be until next year that motherfuckers start to, if we get to next year. That ain't we even got this year yet. I'm thinking we will. Thinking most people will give up on the 400-year prophecy. That'll be backbreaking for most of them. It'll be backbreaking for the guys who don't even believe in the 400-year prophecy. How about that? How about that? Niggas who claim that they don't even believe in this shit is going to break their backs. Right in half. I know it. I know it. Because they're looking for hope. Huh? What? I said they're looking for hope. How I know that? Because they're asking Black people for their fucking money. Sorry ass niggas and nigrettes. Sorry as fuck. I separate myself by every single thing there is a distinction that needs to be made. Demetrius doesn't have what everybody else has. But you know what? My mind functions at such a level. I don't know how much money you'd have to pay to get this intelligent, this wise, all this by age 28. I don't know what the fee would be, but I've paid an exuberant fee okay, and lifetime taxes for what I know and what I've learned. I've paid an exuberant fee for it. These guys want you to pay them. That's the difference. That's why you're good. That's why if black people never were to get out of this country, it would be because of people like them who lack the humility, okay, and the wherewithal to address the situation with sense and say, you know what? That actually is logical. What bro just said is not out of bounds at all. We do need to separate ourselves as to how different we are from all the rest of these groups. We do need to make that distinguishment. But how I know that black people are no different from what they were thousands of years ago, it took the Most High God causing cataclysmic events just to get them out of Egypt, just to show them that you're not Egyptians, just because you've been here this long. Right, you're not Egyptian. So what I'm trying to say is you ain't no American. You ain't no Babylonian just because you've been stuck in Babylon, dog. Case in point to everything I'm going to say about Chaldeans, Israelites. Did y'all know that Nebuchadnezzar was Chaldean? Did you know that? Did you know that when Nebuchadnezzar smashed on Israel, he went back to Babylon? Did you know that's the only thing that makes him Chaldean is the fact that he went back home? Did you know that? Okay. I was just throwing that out there. I was just wondering. Did y'all know that the Chaldeans are also the lions in the prophecy? Did you know that? Did you know that's where the concept, the lion of Judah comes from? Did you know that? And you can look all this stuff up and try and deny me if you want, but you'll be, once again, to diminish what I'm saying, if you believe in any part of that, you'll diminish your own argument. So go ahead and just let it ride for a second, pimp. I've put years into this Bible talk. Not just the Bible, but just understanding where we could possibly be. And in my mind, we're really close to seeing those broad walls come on down. I've got videos from both were about San Diego. In 7 months, they're going to have 300 plus miles completed of the wall of San Diego. That's just San Diego. That's not Arizona. It's not Texas. Okay. And that's not New Mexico. Right. They're not even talking about those walls really, but know that they're building those walls too. They're building them. So just because it says we're building the wall, it should say we're building the walls. But if, once again, these people have understanding of prophecy, right? Then they have to be trying to counterbalance the prophecy. There's no way they're not. The one instruction that I know they're following to the T is the instruction from Paul in the Romans, and I can't think of what chapter. It might be chapter 12, but he pretty much tells the Roman people and the Gentiles among the Romans that the only way you're going to be able to keep good things coming to you is if you mistreat these Israelite people. Okay? And when Paul says if you do that which is evil, he's talking about if you let these people free, if you restore to these people what is rightfully theirs. Paul calls that evil because he understands that that's the end of the reign for the Gentiles. What's happening? But Paul's not stupid. Paul understood that the Gentiles would effectively have their tyrannical reign of terror come to an end just by doing the right thing. Come on. And the comparison I could make to that is when Ahab is he has the son of Ader surrounded, and the son of Ader comes out, and they're all wrapped up in white, and he tells his servants, he says, hey, the kings of Israel are merciful people, right? Let's just go out here like this and pretty much let's see what happens, right? So they go out there, and the first thing Ahab says, because there's a messenger that goes first, And he's like, where is bro? He's my brother. Once again, speaking to the fact that Ahab knew that the Idumeans and the Israelites were related directly. Outside of that, though, he did what normally mercy is. I don't ever see how mercy is the wrong thing unless somebody turns on you. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I won't get into the whole Ader the Idumean situation. I will say this. Ahab doing perceptually the right thing, being merciful, doing that cost him everything. And the concept is the same for Gentiles, that if they allow for these Israelite people and the stranger within them, but they treat the stranger better off tops, they know that these Israelite people cannot be let go. If we start to do right by them, if we do right by these black people, if any of these people are these people, chances are they're going to want to leave. You don't think that was the real scare of segregation? Huh? That they, if they're segregated long enough, eventually, if they get their resources and funds together, they might just say, hey, you know what? They've never treated us right here. They're never going to treat us right in this place. Let's leave. Let's leave. Trust me, places like the Black Wall Street and all the black inventors' inventions, all those patents, by now would have accrued more than enough interest, more than enough money, more than enough capita that our people could have potentially have been out of here already or be on their way out. So we can't be angry at the Gentiles for doing exactly what fucking double O agent Saul said to do. Triple O agent. He's quadruple O agent. I don't know. He's the worst villain in the whole Bible. He's the worst. There is no villain colder than him. This dude made himself go blind, brought his own vision back, made another guy go blind. In the midst of making himself go blind, he gets these people to believe that he's really been changed. And this dude's a fucking walking demon in the flesh. It is just crazy. Gets stoned to death, lives. Listen, they perceive, ain't nobody in the whole scripture lived from getting stoned, and he does. Fuck out of here. But neither here nor there. Let me just get back to 1619, my initial point. When these people get to see that our 400-year service of hardcore indenturitude has been close to being encapsulated, possibly encroached upon, once people even understand, see, that's the thing. 1619 gives breath. It breathes a little life into other people's stuff, right? Right? See, but now the Hebrew Israelite guys, you see, they're careful about how they're approaching it. They don't want to say that the white man knows, oh, this is really the year, because what happened in the year 2000? Right. People climbing on top of the roofs and no spaceships came to get them. Right. Looking like complete damn fools. But there is no divine instruction in this one. The only real divine instruction you could say that the Most High left us is to stay out of trouble and to remember me. Anybody going to argue that? Anybody want to argue that? Because that would be the gist of what he said, of what is said to us. That's right. Once again, I love when they fall by the wayside. It's the best thing. You want people to fall by the wayside. You want them to not believe what it is that is real. Now, I have no doubt in my mind, not one, that before this is all said and done, there's going to be people who listen, who act like they've been with me this whole time, who are going to fold. Cats who might not be as vocal as the mods, but there's cats who come around. I'm talking about guys who copy my content, and for the most part they kind of sort of believe in the Most High, but they don't want to say they believe in him, right? because they're so quick to say, well, the black man is God. But I always want to know, well, God, why you still here? Why you stuck here? Huh? Huh? You're saying that these white dudes are better gods than you? Anyway, let me not let me not go there. I don't want nobody to get upset. But that's the point, though. Is these guys say things like that, and I just wonder. I'm like, where are they vindicated on even an iota of this shit? You know, where is their vindication? And this is that's just the way it's going to be, y'all. We're going to be stuck like Chuck until we have a force, a significant force that has the ability to distinguish all these things that I'm saying. I love talking about this. I love talking about this. There is nothing that makes me more excited than talking about scripture, talking about the Most High. I love it. Somebody like nobody's ever like, I've only seen Andre face to face here. But when I tell you guys in real life, like when I let people say what they're going to say about scripture, there's a level of energy where they can hear. I might have actually gotten angry about what they said. People don't even talk about the scripture around me. I'm not a big dude. I'm not some big black man who's just physically imposing. But the energy level is so high that people can tell it's probably going to go there if you say something sideways about what he believes in. I'm one of those niggas, I'll beat your ass for talking about the Most High. Beat you half to death and think nothing about it and leave you right the fuck there. Fuck you, punk. Once again, I don't know what kind of riding shit y'all are on for the Most High. Like, I will break a nigga's whole head, a bitch's whole head open for talking crazy about my God and thinking I'm gonna let it slide. I'll break their whole shit open and feel excellent while I do it. Feel vindicated while I do it. I can't say all of y'all are like that, and I'm not knocking nobody. That's me. And I know that I shouldn't be so willing to engage in violence. I know the Most High, he don't like that. But it's going to take a level of violence that's going to get this shit done. It's going to take somebody who is ultra willing to do what other people aren't willing to do to get this shit done. I've been altruistic in so many different ways in my message. People might say, oh, well, you sound like you're full of yourself. No, I just sound like somebody who knows that you might not see where it came from. You might not get the fact as to why they only talk about certain things. Why? Because if they talk about another part of it, then they might be hinting towards something that I know I know where you got that from. I know exactly who you got that from. And they don't want to do that. You know, as soon as the ADOS thing happened, I went against it, and people, had I been for ADOS and a few other things when they first hit tough, right? All the energy for it would be different. I literally went, I by myself changed how they talked about everything. Changed them how they talked about everything. Cerulean Gray had to incorporate of all the things that we don't separate ourselves by sexual preference, because I called Yvette Carnell a faggot who hadn't done nothing for her people because she hadn't produced any babies. Yvette Carnell is just as bad as men who are in their 40s, in their 50s, don't have any children, but they've been having sex. Right. It would be different if you were a 40 or 50-year-old virgin with some virtue to you. But nigga, you've been running around doing exactly what everybody else does. Got the nerve to run and talk some shit. Where are the babies at? Right. Where are the numbers that are going to increase our people at? Right. Don't make no sense. But that's neither here nor there. Because there's a whole bunch of them like that. There are, I don't know how many of these YouTubers I have heard say, I don't have children. And they're men. And they bitch about the women. Sounding like a bunch of homosexuals when they do it for that reason. So, bruh, either you're worse than the chicks because you don't want to have, I wear condoms, so that makes me protected. I don't want to get a disease. You wouldn't have to worry about it if you had one sexual partner, stupid. Who you were committed to, stupid. And you knew what's committed to you, stupid. Promote all the wrong ideas. By you promoting the so-called safe sex, you're promoting promiscuity and you're promoting fornication. You didn't even realize that. Sin is what you're promoting. People forget. Andre wants me to make a video about this, and I will. I have to get around. There's so much to do, but he wants me to really focus on in the video about how sex, copulation, procreation, right, mating is meant to produce children and babies. That's exactly what it's meant for. It's not meant for your pleasure. It's not meant for your pleasure. When I do that video, don't worry. I'm going to go into how the Most High God does tell you who to love. I can't stand when these punk ass motherfuckers talk. God doesn't say who to love. Yes, he does. He has rules as to who to not have sex with. That's telling you who to love and who not to love. I got you, Martin. Right on, bro. Hell of an idea. Heaven of an idea. I like that idea. But the whole point is this, though, with all that said, you have folks who want to try to deny the most obvious things. They're crucially obvious. Crucially obvious. You can't say that we don't separate ourselves based on this, that, and the other when, in fact, in the real world, they do. How many of these black YouTubers you think actually take the time to go hang out with homeless people? I do. I'm broke. Got no money like that really right now. But when I get the time to just go and just be with folks that I know, man, or if I see somebody while I'm diddy bopping, I might just stop the brother and just, you know what I'm saying, share some good words with them. If I got a little something rolled up, I might, you know what I'm saying, spark that with him. If he don't smoke and I got a couple dollars, I'm going to give him a couple dollars. It's what anything I can do to help the situation. I know I can't change your life giving you $100. $100, I've been saying this to y'all. A couple dollars out your pocket is not a fucking down payment on a house. Okay? That's not a down payment on shit, but maybe a cheeseburger and a cold one, dog. If you give them enough money, a hotel room, cheeseburger and a cold one. Can you dig it? But it's not a down payment on a house. So when people get upset at the fact that I am saying that you need to encourage your people at the lowest levels, in the best ways, in any way you can, in any means, shape, or form, they should embrace that. When I hear older black men say, oh, I'm only worried about the young boys and not these older men, these grown-ass men in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, they're right now, okay? They have skills right now that they've accumulated, all right? They don't need to be taught those skills. They have them. It's not easy to fix broke men. And they can say, oh, it's easier to build stronger men, you know what I'm saying? It's easier to make strong boys, right on, than it is to fix broken men. With all that said, the same man who dipped into that will also tell you, right on, from the wisdom of history, you don't go to war with the army that you want, you go to war with the army that you have. So with that said, the fact that people are willing to give up on those that they still have, whose children do you think is going to be that you're teaching? Right. The same people that you thought were unteachable, that you were unwilling to teach. It's their children that you're going to be trying to teach. People talk about that Pookie and Ray Ray nonsense. That's why I get so upset, because it's like, do y'all even know what the hell you're saying? It's more than just, it is far more than just a 400-year prophecy. It's bigger than that. Okay? It's about us getting the fuck up out of here. When it's all said and done, I cannot stress it enough. And you have people who will debase our time here by saying that you need to be chasing what's in between a woman's legs. Or telling a woman it doesn't matter who you date, just as long as he takes care of you. Don't worry about if your mother or father doesn't accept that white man, that Mexican, that Asian, that Islander. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We living in a new time. Like I would say to any chick who wants a white man, go get you one. Go get you one. But when he kick in your face, and don't expect me to do shit for you. Right. Right. I barely get involved when a black dude's putting hands on a chick. Right. For these dudes who are like, you're weak for that. You would let one of those white. She's sucking and fucking that dude. Right. Put that in your mind for a second. When she goes home, even if you knock this dude's teeth out, she still might suck and fuck him, bro. Oh, baby, I still love you with all your teeth knocked out. You still my white chocolate motherfucking drop. Whatever the fuck she calls this faggot ass dude. But she still loves him. Gonna go home and do all this shit with him. Right. But you gonna kick the shit out of him? Okay. If I'm not gonna call that dude a simp, but that dude is lost. He's lost for sure. For sure, he's lost. He's lost. He's lost. He should have kicked the shit out of the dude just for being with the chick then, if it's like that. So my point is this right here is that if you're not gonna go around putting your hands on dudes, right on just for being with the chick, and then G-check that chick for being with that dude, don't get upset and in your feelings when he puts his hands on a so-called black woman. So-called. She put herself in that position. Ain't nobody put a gun to her head, ain't nobody forced her to be with that man. As y'all like to say, the woman chooses. So if she chose that punk ass faggot, let her have him. And I say the same thing for black dudes who want to be with non-black women. If I see you somewhere and you with her whole non-black family and they start whooping your ass, right? But I said what up to you earlier and you ignored me, when I see them whooping on your ass, me ain't about to do shit but stand there and watch. That's it. I'm going to make sure they don't beat you to death. But outside of that, nothing. No thing. And I give y'all a case in point. These Asian dudes tried to jump his brother one time in front of my hot dog stand. As soon as I walk around from the hot dog stand, they all stop jumping him. Don't put my hands on nobody. But they understood what was about to happen. Oh shit, this nigga about to get involved. Yep, sure am. And there's 4 or 5 of you versus one of him, and he's got the best of y'all right now? Okay, so let's see what happens when there's 2 of us versus all 5 of you. Let's see if we don't just dog walk all 5 of y'all real quick. They didn't want none of that business. They got the fuck up out of there. Right. So, but when the brother told me what he had done, right, understanding what he did, I probably still would have watched his back because how he explained it to me. The brother broke down and said, yo, man, I was over there. I was selling rolled up cigarettes. I sold one of the guy 2 cigarettes. He gave me the money for 1 cigarette. And as opposed to them wanting to give him money for a cigarette, they didn't. So bro snatched the dude's wallet. You feel me? And then that's when they start trying to get the wallet back and shit like that. And the whole thing spilled over to where I was at, but neither here nor there. Fact of the matter is had they not tried to treat their brother like that, I didn't know that he had took the dude's wallet, but I also didn't know that they tried to play him over a single cigarette. How the fuck you gonna try to play it's a grown ass man, dude, and he's homeless. So every scintilla that he makes means something to him. Trust me, I know. When people do shit like that, it is so demeaning to your spirit. And really, they're lucky that he wasn't an armed homeless dude, like a knife or something like that, because they fucked around and would have got stabbed up doing that shit to him. However, I'd have watched that dude's back, knowing that he done that. I would have watched his back. Would have felt no different. You are going to have to make the conscious decision as to where you stand with your people coming soon. This is what I'm really talking about now. Follow me. You're going to have to make the conscious decision as to where you stand with your people. You won't be able to, there's not going to be a line to toe, or I can weeble wobble here a little, I can weeble wobble. No, that is done. They're taking away all those options. They're taking away every single one of them. And they want you to not have those options. Why do you think they promote all this interracial nonsense so much? Because they want black people to be so far separated from one another, right? that when it does jump off, okay, they can't help one another at all. So why the fuck would I put myself around a bunch of people who already had ill intent towards my people, have shown nothing but discontent for us the entire time we've been here? People are like, well, what about abolitionists? What about them? You wouldn't need to be an abolitionist if my people weren't wrongfully indentured. You think that they would have, do you really believe they would have been trying to get black people from their indentured if what was going on here was righteous? No, they wouldn't have. But because it was so unrighteous, so evil what was going on, people are like, man, we got to do something. Because a whole lot of them have what? Black grandfathers and black grandmothers. I need to understand these, your first abolitionists, they weren't just like that for no reason. John Brown didn't come from a family of people who greatly hated slavery, who despised slavery for no fucking reason. Trust and believe. Somebody in his family was black. Believe that. More than likely his father. More than likely his father. Probably a dude who could pass. Man, it's like I could make the video again where I show y'all all the different little articles of like runaway slaves. I could pull up pictures of guys like John Brown, Abe Lincoln, and a few other suspected guys who were just passing. Andrew Jackson's another one of them, who they believe was an octoroon or quadroon who was just passing. But that's neither here nor there. Which would explain why he was so racist, or seemingly racist to distance himself. However, my point is this. If they have dark hair and dark eyes, I know what you got in you for a fact. Can you dig it? On very minimal, you have what they call mongoloid genetics. But at the highest level, you've got Adamite genetics. True human being genetics. See, only real human beings grow hair like this. Sorry. So if your hair don't grow like that, I just took a stab at you. It wasn't on purpose, it's just what it is. You know how I know that this is dominant? Because up is dominant and down is motherfucking inferior, nigga. Tell me one time when somebody's had the high ground and they didn't feel like they had the advantage. Come on. Philosophically speaking, just when you come from that point of view, your hair has the high ground on theirs. Come on now. Y'all wonder why I say don't put no hard heat or harsh chemicals in your hair to make it fall down. There's a reason your God wants your hair to stand up. It's to show the dominance of your genetics, man. It is so difficult to explain this stuff if people don't want to accept it in their own life because they want to live their own life. The greatest example of a person like this that I have, and I pray little bro wakes up one day. I pray little bro makes it. His name is Darius Brown. And the real reason why he stopped listening to me is because he so badly wanted to be a barber. Now, I could go to the scripture where it tells you not to cut your hair, not to shave your face and all that stuff. Just because you read that somebody shaved their head, right? Absalom, because he used this sorry ass fucking excuse. And I wanted to show him how, like, bro, first off, Absalom, as right as he was, went about his whole mission the wrong way. As much as I agree with what a lot of what he did, he went about it the whole wrong way. With that said, Absalom can do whatever he likes. He's the son of a king. So if you don't follow once again, this is the problem, because he didn't follow the rules exactly. Maybe if he had never cut his hair, he'd have never been in that position. Who knows? But they said every year his head would be his hair would be heavy upon his head. Which what I took that as is every year when it got hot, it would just be too hot for him. Right? So not sure if you guys knew this, but in order to cut your hair back in the day, they would wet all your hair. So that way it would be easier to shave off. Right on. So that's why when you read in the scripture that his hair weighs so many shekels, it's because it was wet. Neither here nor there, but I have to explain that. You see what I'm talking about, y'all? Do you see what I mean? How if a person doesn't know those things, they can't tell you that just right off the top of their head. They have to actually have read it, retained it. You don't have to agree with it, but there has to be a level of understanding where you can see that obviously this is all not telling me a lie. It all can't be untrue. Every piece of it can't be untrue. It's just highly unlikely, highly improbable. I don't see things changing very much with black people. They're gonna take the 1619 project however they feel. I know for a fact that Demetrius doesn't care for the 1619 project just because it's another one of those things where I know for a fact I've had something ripped right out of my hands. It doesn't matter that they poke on and poke at quite a few of the things that I talked about over a year ago. It doesn't even matter to me. What matters more is the fact that I'm sitting here now and I'm like, dude, there's no way. I just have a hard time believing that things that I'm saying, right, that I don't hear anybody else saying, are finding a way to, once again, why talk about 1619 now? Why not have done the 1619 project at the top of the year? They've had the same the information has always been the same. It's not, you understand? If you watch I could have put together all that information in fucking 2 or 3 days, a week maximum, and made it sound a lot better than they did. They totally antiquate the fact that the Portuguese were fucking balls deep in slavery before all that. Way before 1619. Okay? They just totally overlooked that. Like, oh, that doesn't matter. They totally overlooked the fact that that there's black people who not only were here that the Portuguese ran into, but there was black people that came here, which they explain, not directly, but when they speak on the tobacco crop and all that stuff, the people who showed them how to do that first were not the Aboriginals who were here. The Washington Post, sister, the Washington Post and hijacked some shit. Then straight jacked off. I hate these niggas, man. I hate them so bad. It is like, fuck, I can't have nothing. I can't have shit to myself. They're like, yeah, he's only got a couple subs. Nobody watches his shit. We just take that. They just give me that. I'm just like, come on, dog. I can't have a little bit of that back. Can I just have a little piece? I'm like, nope. Or they look back at me, you know what I mean, with that little smug look. Nope. I fucking know. I'm trying to figure out how people are like, no, they didn't copy you, bro. Man, shut the hell up. Yes, they did. If they didn't copy Demetrius, they were heavily influenced by him. I heard this guy Tariq Nasheed fucking have the audacity to fix his dirty fucking lips to say that they're using his hidden color fucking talking points. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. This dude's new hidden color 5. I guarantee it. This fuck nigga done took shit that I said directly out of my mouth and put it in his video. I'll put money on that. Because niggas like him are made of motherfucking 1-ply tissue. 1-ply. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. And whenever one of their cronies watch this shit, they're gonna try to tell the nigga, oh, he said you did this. And he's not gonna do all you can try to say is maybe I said the same thing that you're saying, but I'm not saying the same thing everybody else is saying. When I contend what I contend about Aboriginal people, and I make them different than black people who were brought here, genetically and everything, I'm doing something that ain't nobody else said to you. What's awkward is that the Hebrew Israelite guys, for the longest time, were like, we're not the same as Africans. We're not the same as Africans. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, right? But then they never had the audacity to say, we're not the same as these Aboriginals. We're not the same as them either. They never came out and said that. They never really distinguished themselves from them because they couldn't tell. They couldn't look with the two eyes and tell the difference. See, the reason why a guy like Dan Calloway will never lose his support is because a lot of what he's saying, as far as the people being here before whatever, is true. But the reason why he will never be absolutely 100% on the right path is because he doesn't acknowledge the Most High. He's one of these. He's once again, fat, fleshy motherfucker, right on, who don't take care of himself. But black people, I don't even understand how black people listen to people who don't take care of themselves. I look like I take care of myself, okay? Even if I don't have the income and all this shit that I want to have, I still physically take care of myself. These niggas have income and all that, okay? Most of these YouTubers who are full-time YouTubers don't have to work a regular job. You feel me? And won't fucking work out. Won't put less food in their mouth. Right, fat, fleshy, and cross-eyed than a motherfucker. You was not lying. And I'm not hating on dude, I'm just pointing it out. But people, you get on their knees. Get on their knees for this guy. I contend that most of the dudes who don't show themselves are out of shape. Are niggas who people are like, man, get this old soft-looking motherfucker from my face. But Dan Calloway never claimed to be a tough guy, so that's the one thing he's got going for him. He ain't never claimed to be like a rah-rah, I'm really with the shit type nigga, you know. Now, are there some rah-rah with the shit niggas who follow him? Yeah. But that don't mean nothing to me. You feel me? Because I'm bona fide. Nigga, where your ERPO at? See, that's how dangerous I am. I'm so dangerous that motherfucking police officers, not a regular person, police officers in another fucking county, okay, made it to where they said, oh no, need an extreme risk protection on this nigga. Oh, but you can tell that Dane has the Aboriginal blood. He looks like an Aboriginal. His nose is built differently from ours. His eyebrow structure is different, right on. But see, those are tiny little things that if you have to look at a person to tell that type of stuff. You see what I'm saying? There's a reason why I talk about the button nose. Right on. I can show y'all a bunch of different pictures with not just the Chaldeans, but the Assyrians as well. Okay, and the Persians. Okay, where the people are darker skinned or look like they got curly hair like this, and they have button fucking noses, dog. Right. So they don't think that I think that how we look right here is important. How we look right here is direly important. That's crucial. That's crucial. It speaks volumes to what your face looks like. Facial symmetry is what they call it, how your face is put together. Your facial symmetry really does say a lot. It really does. But I'm not going to dog him out because, once again, like I said, a lot of the things that he contends are factually based and they're actually rooted in truth. So I'm not going to go and go on a tangent and say, oh, dude is all the way wrong. But do I know for a fact that he's got some of his shit totally fucked up? Yeah. Yeah. But I can't accuse Dane of ever trying to take my shit, though. That I won't do. That I won't do. Right on. There's a couple other cats out here who talk the same kind of silly nonsense that he talks, but they're so far out of bounds because they're going against established genetic science that has been accredited for over 100 years. And all of a sudden, these motherfuckers are going to rewrite history. I use accredited science to establish what I'm talking about, and people still don't believe me. What? I used every major dude there is to fucking back me up, and niggas still don't believe me. Okay? From Gregor Mendel to fucking Sir Francis Galton. I used them all. You can go look into my work. Use them all. And niggas still don't believe your boy. And I haven't contended anything other than what they're saying about genetics for the most part to be true, other than the things that are obviously rooted in fallacy. What? And these niggas are trying to go against proven, bona fide sciences, things that can't be denied. And yet, folks listen to them and give them money. That's how I know black people are stupid. I don't give a fuck what they say to me. Stupid as hell. And they always want to get mad because somebody calls them stupid. You are stupid. You're not. The black people are no longer ignorant to what's going on to them. So if you want to play dumb, okay, and be a fucking factor in your own demise, you go ahead and be my guest. But I will be nowhere close to you when you do that. There's a reason why I get so upset about what I talk about when I say the things that I say, especially about the stranger. I need y'all to understand this just for 2 seconds. If I was the stranger, I still have the phenotype. I still have the phenotype based on certain descriptions of those people, which would vindicate what I'm saying about the stranger being genetically related to the people directly, more so than not. When everybody gets upset and tries to change what the scripture has written, that's when I know that they're full of shit. That's stupidity. That's stupidity. Because it's not an absence of knowledge. It's present and it's available. But because a person refuses to accept, does not want to accept what is obviously true, because what does that do? It might diminish their importance in their own mind, right? Because they might be suffering from delusions of grandeur. Y'all do know that there are people who believe their whole families are going to heaven. There's people who believe that their whole clans. I'm not talking about just their wife and their daughter and their son or whatever, right? I'm talking about they believe like their whole family making it. There's people under that kind of impression. But the Most High God has already told us: 1 from the city, 2 from the family. Do y'all know how many people have to die to vindicate that type of number and logic? You're talking millions upon millions upon millions have to die. Now this is going to sound fucked up, but there's going to be more black people who put themselves in bad positions or in the realm of being harmed sooner than later because of who they align themselves with. Not because of where they live, not because of how much money they make, but simply based on who they align themselves with. Case in point, I have a hard time believing that a black man or a black woman that's married into another tribe of people, another race of people, is going to be targeted because they're black during that day, more so than the fact that they chose to be aligned with these people. Right on? So another person might look at them and say, they're a traitor. And it might not even be your own people, and that's what's going to fuck you up. Right. That's what's going to fuck you up. You got to see this stuff happening to folks. It's not going to be other black people holding black men and black women to the fire. It's going to be white folks, Asians and Hispanics. Kind of like how the little black boy got caught in the girl's closet. I forget what state it was in. I want to say it might have been California. Little black boy gets caught in this girl's closet, Hispanic girl's closet, and her father and her mother, and I want to say like an auntie or uncle, took the boy, roughed him up, threatened to kill him, and all types of shit, right? People are like, oh, they're so wrong. But he was in their house trying to fuck their daughter. Right. Oh, you guys think they was in there doing fucking after school book studies? Right on? You think they're just doing some research? Really? That's what you think? Or is it safe to presume that this young black boy was in there, right, doing something he had no business doing? They caught him hiding in the closet. So that means that he wasn't supposed to be over there no how. Word? Just saying. More vindication. Okay, these are sorry ass Hispanics who will claim that black people and so-called brown people, so-called because a lot of them have no fucking pigment to their skin, they be white looking, but so-called brown people have a have a connection, right on, have some type of similarity. If there, if that's not a more clear, distinguishable mannerism of we don't give a fuck about y'all. Matter of fact, fuck y'all. I don't know what it is. Now it's going to be charged to these people as a hate crime or whatever, or they're investigating it as a hate crime. But what's more important is that is it just vindicates what I just said. All right. Black people didn't do that to him. No, the people that he believes that there's a fucking alliance with did that to him. Can you dig it? So it's not going to take black people to break open the heads of black men and black women who've married out. Can you dig it? It's not going to be on y'all. It's going to be on other people who break their heads open. It's just the way it is. But they chose that. That's what they wanted, so that's what they're going to get. Don't you stand up for them. Don't you stick up for them. Don't vindicate the evil that they've committed. Once again, when I do the spiritual gumbo about people who are misusing copulation for pleasure, I will be incorporating the fact that the Most High God tells you who to love and who not to love. Right. People gonna get sad. People gonna get real sad. Because then once I point out how the fact that all these people that they were pretty much blood mixing with were black and the Most High God didn't want them to blood mix with them, what makes you think he wants you to blood mix with somebody who doesn't look like you? Think about that for just a moment. Think about that for just a moment. What are the chances he wants you to blood mix with somebody who looks nothing like you? And people who look just like you, he told you not to blood mix. I mean, just like you. What up, Steve? But that's the point, though, is you have people with this dire misunderstanding. This is why these ADOS guys, their shit falls on his face, because I know that my God told my people to not mate with anybody but their people. So if these Aboriginal people are Gentiles, just like the other indigenous folks are Gentiles, and I'm willing to say, hey, my people probably not supposed to mate with them, probably weren't supposed to mate with them. Right. I guarantee that there are more people who have almost pure Aboriginal blood, and now this day have thicker, coarse hair, than there are those who are actually truly Israelites. I'll put a shit ton of money on it. Let's just do the numbers real quick. There's roughly 340 million people in the United States. 10% of that, okay, is 34 million. Okay, another 3% of that, 1% is 3,400,000. So 10,200,000 plus 34 million, 44,200,000 people, roughly. Okay, there's roughly 44,200,000 black people in the United States right now. That's what they say based on the percentage. Listen to me. Listen to me. What percent do you think of that 44 million are the people? 50%? Half of them? But that doesn't make the people few then. 30%? Still, it's almost a third. It's not really few. A quarter? Not really few. But 10%? 12%? Hell, even 5%? Yeah. That sounds about right. So if we're going to go, let's just say for that, right? 1 for every 20 of these people is the people. Do you see how dangerous it is now? Right. But nobody wants to hear my logic. They just want to overreach it. What I'm saying What I'm saying right now makes so much damn sense that if you don't start looking at these people, trying to understand, once again, I've made it clear. I believe most of the people that I deal with are the stranger. That's okay. I don't have an issue with that. The stranger they're in lockstep with the covenant. I don't know what covenant y'all read, but the one that I read, the stranger, okay, from the hewer of wood to the drawer of water is under that fucking covenant. Excuse my language. So when people try to distinguish that, oh, well, this, no, dude, no, 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 bullshit. And before people start trying to say dumb shit like, well, the strangers have to be Gentiles, if that was the case, it would have said the Gentiles within you, okay? Okay? But the stranger indicates somebody who has either literally is a sojourner, totally strange to your people because they're a complete outsider, or somebody who's been bred in and has less than dominant genetics of the people. Right. Right. But no, the Most High God makes it clear that you don't have to have mixed with the people to be a stranger, because the Most High God tells the people you were a stranger when you sojourned in the land of Egypt. Right. He makes sure to remind people of that. That's a constant reminder. That's one of the first reminders he gives the people, so as to not to treat strangers foul. Because do y'all remember how you guys got treated by the Egyptians? Right. See, this is why I don't understand why people don't read the scripture more, because it's such a it's it's such a logical based concept that if you try to overreach it or try to add to it, you will probably miss the most base meanings and reasoning that it has for us to actually see what it's saying. So, do I believe that some of the strangers in the people look just like the people? Yes. But I also know that some of the strangers only sort of resemble the people. The question being this, though: when are they going to apply this to the 1619? Hmm? You know, the strangers are the aboriginals that are here, right? Right? You do know that, right? Not just the Africans or the people who weren't Israel brought with the Israel, or the strangers that were brought with Israel. No, the strangers also the people that were indigenously in this land that have been connected to us. Now, understand this: they're within us. We're not within them. So that tells you who's more important, just based on that, and also who actually has the power. Right. Right. Martin Luther King is the most powerful and prominent black man that has lived, I don't know how long. Easily, hands down. Hands down. The man had presidential power as a regular civilian. Um, I don't think people will ever appreciate that he never got high. He, as high up as people want to claim, he got as high up as you would, as any one of the other leaders, as far as his status. But he wasn't within the people. He was arguably without the people. He's an outlier. Martin Luther King didn't come into somebody else's movement and get famous. Okay? He made a movement famous. Whereas Malcolm X went into another man's movement and made that movement famous. You could say that he's the stranger, but I would argue that he wasn't the stranger because he was blood sacrificed, and that the stranger is and was most indefinitely one Louis Farrakhan, or Louis B. Walcott, the traveling Calypso, or the Great Calypso, excuse me. Right. People don't understand this. They're like, well, why would you say that? Well, number one, his mom was from the islands. She's a dark brown islander woman, or was a dark brown island woman. The man that was supposed to be his father was also a dark brown island man. His mother stepped out and slept with somebody. Now he doesn't indicate who, but he says that his father snuck in there. Right? He tries to make adultery seem like a good thing. Does he call his mother the whore that she is for doing that? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He doesn't even begin to speak on his mother's whoredom. He says how his mother tried to abort him 3 times, but I don't even believe that. I have a hard time believing that his mother even committed adultery. The most feasible belief, which is what was practiced in the Nation of Islam for years to come until it was exposed by Malcolm X, what Elijah Muhammad was up to, which was pretty much one could contend that men were giving their wives, their daughters, women that were close to them, to these leaders. Okay. He disappeared, he being Fard Muhammad, 4 years before Farrakhan was born. Now, if I was an evil genius and I wanted to do something really nefarious, I would put my seed in a position of power, teach my seed to revere and respect me. Why do you think they celebrate Savior's Day? Savior's Day is Fard Muhammad's birthday. So every year, Farrakhan gets to celebrate his father's birthday. I've been saying this to y'all for a long time. Every year, this man gets to celebrate his father's birthday. Every year. And nobody's ever said a word about it. Never. I'm going to be the only one who ever says anything about it, because I'm the only one who will say that he's not black and stand on that. Andre will tell you, though, before I do, he ain't never did shit for black people. It's the first thing Andre always says about Farrakhan. Before the fact that he'll bring up the dude as a mixed breed or whatever, he's like, damn all that. He ain't never did shit for black people. And he should be dead like the rest of them. Andre's personal belief, if you were alive in the civil rights era and was a so-called civil rights leader and you did not die back then, he believes you're a phony, a fake, a fraud, and a phony. The 3 F's. Oh, no, I lied. 1 P, because, phony's PH. But anyway, he believes they're fake, frauds, and phonies. And I can't blame him for feeling like that. That's a vindicated way of feeling. Totally vindicated. He is totally vindicated for feeling like that. Nothing wrong with that. I just don't see how our people are ever going to get past the point that we're at if they don't really toughen up, and say, okay, I love black people. I love our people. Hell, I love the people who aren't even our people because they've gone through what we've gone through. But our people are special and they deserve to be treated like that because they're special. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. Do y'all think that's just really think about this for a moment. As mineral rich as Africa is, you guys think it's just a mistake that the ancient, revered, legendary Timbuktu was built on the continent? No, that's not by happenstance. That happened because they had the people with the know-how to build, and they had the proper materials to build with. Now the question is this right here: is that why didn't they just build another Timbuktu once those black people left? Or why weren't the Timbuktus built all over the place? Because the group of people who built Timbuktu weren't all over Africa. Damn. I'm trying to explain it to y'all. Talking about a resource-rich continent. Should have had establishments like that built all over the place. All over the place they should have been built. If the Yehudites were as spread out as people think they were. Until they were taken into captivity, they weren't dispersed. And most of y'all will fail to realize that many of the black people that you see in places in the world now just recently migrated there. So that doesn't vindicate Judah being spread to every single nation or to the four corners of the planet, to being scattered to the four corners of the planet. And when Israel was taken and is still with the Assyrians, can you dig that? When Judah was sent among the nations being established nations at that time, not brand new motherfuckers we never heard of. Man, and it kills me that I have to even say that. Because it's like, if I'm saying that, that means that, and hold on, if I'm saying it and I mean like there's like a misunderstanding somewhere, that means that everything else that I may have said leading up to it, either you forced it out your brain with brand new information or you ignored me in the first place. Now, I will accept the third obscure one, which is just wasn't on your mind, but I'm just not. Yeah, right. I'm hard pressed for that. It's just easier for me to say that a person just doesn't care about what I'm saying. And until it actually affects them, then they're like, oh, bro, oh. And it's like, am I supposed to give a fuck? Because I said that shit 2 years ago. And it's just now hitting you. That's fucking amazing. I mean, it's almost insulting as it is amazing, because I do shit Barney style. There's a reason I harp on little ass things for so long, hoping that if I harp on it long enough, they'll get so tired of it, they'll know about it more than I do when it's all said and done. That's the point. To make you more informed than me. Bare minimum, as informed. So that way, when people say things, you can't take people on their word at face value if you don't know what they're saying to be true. If you've never researched that facet of knowledge and information yourself, or just are unaware of it, you can't speak to anything that they're saying, because for all you know, they're trying to deceive you. And that's dangerous. That is the most dangerous thing for Black people to do, is to engage in a activity of any sort where in which there is a lack of information or knowledge on their half, where in which it can ultimately lead to their demise. They would have to show me a railroad back in the day, in the ancient times. I don't think there was. The reason why I'm getting at this is I can't think of the black man who created, I can't think of the brother's name who created the Jenny coupler and a few other things that go on the automatic stops for the damn Jenny coupler, and then like the braking system for the train. This brother made it way safer for people to work on railroads. But the reason why he did that is because there was countless deaths. How many brothers do you think got squished to death, got crushed to death? You know what I'm saying? Lost, you know what I'm saying? Became amputees and whatnot. I mean, lives ruined by working on the railroad. Another thing that the Chinese hate the Americans for, but the Chinese didn't have to do shit. You know, the 310 to Yuma will tell you that. You know what I'm saying? And the part where Luke Wilson's character is like, I wish we had some. Did he call them blacks or niggers? I forget which one, but he was just saying, he's like, I can't stand these Chinamen. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I can't stand them. Right. Right. He's, I wish I had some black people here. You know what I'm saying? Show them how to work. But that's just an indication as to nobody works like y'all. Nobody. There is nobody that works like black people. Look, they went and got the hardiest of all the white people, the Germans, and even they couldn't hang, okay? All right? And they're arguably the least racist white people. Arguably. Even though they say some dumb shit themselves. With all that said, I find it very, very, very peculiar that a group of people who have the understanding that they've had all of their understanding taken from them, will take at face value things that people say about their people, not having given it any more thought than what they just said, or giving it any more thought than what's being told to them. I mean, um, and this is why black people went on for years and years and years thinking that they weren't important, thinking that they never did nothing. At least the generation, the middle part of Gen Xers, okay, coming into the middle to latter part of Gen Xers, coming into the very start of the millennials, there's a time period where black people really went through this period where there wasn't a strong sense of what they had accomplished here in this country. And the black people who knew these types of things, see, they were considered the true intellectuals in the black community because they understood more about our history than not. And they were the ones that people looked to guide them. Now, with that said, because the advent of the internet and we are in the so-called information age, the only dangerous thing about it is that people can produce any form of information, and until it's vindicated, vetted, and verified, you have to be very, very careful about how it is that you go about using the information, or just how you perceive it in general. It's very upsetting. It's very upsetting, you know, and black people for a long time just didn't have a strong sense of purpose, you know. Every time I think about a guy like Bill Cosby, right? And I think about being a child, and the first thing I mean, you know, I watched Bill Cosby movies as a little boy for a long time. I forget the one where he's a ghost. You know what I'm saying? He's in the hospital, you know, in a damn coma or whatever, and he's a ghost of himself. I forget that movie, but that's I want to say that's the first Bill Cosby movie I ever seen, right? And it couldn't have been too long after that the pound cake speech. This is how far back my memory goes as a little kid. That the pound cake speech took place, and then after that, my mom was yeah, Ghost Dad. That's the come on, thank you, bro. You know what I'm talking about. And my mom, more than my father, used to really be on Bill Cosby's helmet for what he said about black people. Because my dad used to say, what he said is true. My dad used to always say, he said, what he's saying is true, son. What he said was true. You don't have to like it, but it's true. Do black people wish he had delivered it differently? I guess. Sure. If he had came at it and just gave all eloquent thought to it and articulated it so much so that he spoke to the grievance of black people, I'm sure they wish Bill Cosby had done that. I'm positive. But the fact that he didn't do that shouldn't mitigate what he's done for black people, what he's meant for black people. Okay. Without Bill Cosby, all right, and guys like Sidney Poitier, but in particular, Bill Cosby, I mean, man, he broke down the door. He broke down the walls to this bitch for black people. And you have fucking sick in the mind, mentally fucking ill entertainers who have the audacity to speak ill on this man's name. I pray every single motherfucker who ever said anything, just like the same people who talk shit about R. Kelly. These are the same bitch ass niggas who done listened to his music, bobbed their head, made babies to his songs, all kinds of shit. Played the world's greatest, or I Believe I Can Fly, all that shit. But for some odd reason, all his songs are only sexual. But I can think of 10 songs right now that have nothing to do with sex, only inspiration. Right. But you're only going to remember R. Kelly for all the sexual notions, and will totally ignore what this man said about his childhood. The same thing that happened to R. Kelly being over-sexualized is the same thing that happens to little boys to this day in America. But the thing with R. Kelly was he was sexualized to like women. These little boys are being sexualized and being told that if you want to be a woman, it's okay. So they're being sexualized at an early age and then becoming homosexuals thereafter. while I'm speaking to this, there's a cat who subscribed to me not too long ago. His name is Lady Munch. It's a dude, but he looks like he's not the people. I have yet to actually go and like see one of his videos, right on. But he's a dude. He's a skinny dude. You know what I'm talking about? And I can't tell if he shaves or not. It doesn't look like he shaves, but I can't tell if he does or not. But this is he's a prime example of a stranger within the people. But then outside of that, he's a prime example of people over sexual. I'm sure a woman touched this little boy, did maybe even had full blown sex with him while he was a little kid, fucked his whole head up, and he's fucked up to this day. But he's not so lost that I don't think that he doesn't want his soul to be right. You see what I'm saying? That's how I know we're living in a time that's totally different. Because there would have been no, and when I say I dislike homosexuals to the highest degree. I don't know if dude's homosexual or not. Can't stand homosexual people. I can't stand them. I hate gay people. But I also understand that a lot of these dudes who are like that today have been literally were forced into that level of wickedness. Is that an excuse for them? No. But that's trying to at least explain how they got to that bad position that they're in. There is no worse feeling, no greater diminishment than to be a man or a woman and to have your masculinity or your femininity stolen from you. There is no greater crime than that. As far as just being a man or a woman on earth, that is the greatest crime that a person can commit against you. Because a man who is not masculine is not a man. A woman who is not feminine is not a woman. That is simply a male and a female. Come on. Simply a male and a female. And I know people are like, oh, Demetrius, you shouldn't feel like that. You shouldn't get all whatever. Why not? Why not? They corrupt people at record rates. Record rates. They want us to believe that it's okay for little boys to want to go use the woman's restroom. Right on? They want us to think that it's okay for little boys to want to tuck their penis between their legs and fake like they're a woman. They want us to think that it's okay for women, okay, to go and get these fucking hormone shots so their voice gets deeper. Right on? So they grow a little facial hair. Not that there already aren't women who grow facial hair, but a lot of them don't want to grow facial hair. And even more of them like men. So with that said, don't you just think it's weird that they do all these things to try to diminish people, yet promote the wickedness as if it's okay? But the people who are promoting the wickedness, they have families. They have a son, they have a daughter, they have a wife. They would never tell their family that. They would never tell their sons that or their daughter. I always think that shit is amazing. Always. One of the funniest things that people like to talk about as far as white people are concerned with their offspring is they'll talk about a guy like Sigmund Freud, right? About how all of his children are messed up. Or about how like certain parts of the so-called still black people of like the Jefferson clan, right on Thomas Jefferson, that is, are they're fucking sellouts. You know what I mean? Black trash if you ever seen it, but they're not really black people. So, you see what I'm saying? I don't accredit every negative thing to white people in this country, but I credit most of it to them just because they have been in control and the driver's seat for what will be acceptable and what won't be acceptable. All right. In order for pedophilia to be as big of an issue as it is, that means that the founding fathers and those that are known as the archetypes or architects of this country, they more than likely, many of them, were probably child molesters and pedophiles, rapists of the like. How we know that white men were rapists? Because when I read to y'all about that about the sexual relation between white women and black men. The woman who wrote that book in that little excerpt that we read, she made clear to note the fact that white men were known back in the 1600s to make unwanted sexual advances on women. In the 1600s, they was doing this shit. Nothing has changed. I know nothing has changed because those same white women were blaming black dudes for raping them way back then. Now, fortunately for a lot of us black guys, that some of that shit was found to be bullshit. See what I'm saying? But it doesn't mean that these chicks didn't get pregnant. It doesn't mean that they didn't push out babies. Okay, some who could pass for being white, some who obviously couldn't. Come on now, get what I'm getting at. I appreciate y'all. I really do. There's a level of just straight pure gratitude that I have for my people. There's a level of gratitude that I have for anybody that will give me the time of the day, but especially my people. Stranger in the life. This is our only chance. I hope you guys realize that. This is like, if these dudes, if we fail in this lifetime to put an end to Babylon, I fear that in the lifetime of my son, I fear that in the lifetime of, I'll be an old man, you know what I mean? I won't be much I can do. I feel like they won't have the Constitution to stand up. They won't have the intestinal fortitude it's going to take to stand up for this, to stand up against what is evil, and to know that which is right is going to be the most difficult thing to stand up for. It's unforeseeable. It's unforeseeable. So if it doesn't happen in the next 10 years, we're probably done. There will be more black people who fall to amalgamation at record numbers than we'll have ever seen. The white population, even if it were to technically be bred out, they would have survived on somewhat genetically through their offspring. Yeah, that's Zach's pig. Yeah, that's a picture of Zach. Most definitely. I've never been that light skinned ever in my life, pimp. You feel me? I think when I was born, I might have been that light. You know what I mean? I haven't been that light since, family. Yeah, that's Zach. But yeah, I mean that's my fear, is that in this lifetime, while I'm still a young man, I'll see the oh man, black people just look alike, man. They just can't help it. You know what I mean? They all just look alike. But really though, gentlemen, just to speak to what we're going through, you guys need to realize that there's going to be a lot of folks in the next 5 years, 10 years, especially if everything. I mean, like I said, 2019 really isn't my year that I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to 2027. If everything jumps off this year, I stand corrected. But it'll be a good correction to stand in. It won't be a bad one. You see what I'm saying? But I'll still stand corrected. Yet I will feel vindicated challenging 1619. I'm the only one who has this year. The only one who has said we're going to hold that year to the fire. And the Washington Post, you know what? I was mad at first, but now that having had pretty much 2 hours to talk to you guys about this, I'm actually very excited that they've done this. They've only brought more light to our 400-year expedition and our 400-year struggle. And I know that a lot of other people want to say it's been 500 years or better, but that depends on what your genetic constitution in this country is. If you are Aboriginal, that is a true, and that would mean that your fraternal, the man that you ultimately seed from is an Aboriginal to this land. But if you ultimately seed from a black man that was brought here, your grievance is not, you don't have the same legitimacy in claiming that grievance as somebody who is totally aboriginal to the land. You just don't. You just don't. And you have to respect that. And I've been saying this for fucking going on 2 years. You have to respect that. I've been saying going on for 3 years that black people are different and they have to respect that. But it's okay. When they finally see that all the black in the world, come on, they forgot about those. But when they finally see that all the black in the world is not the same, when they finally respect that all the black in the world is unique and it should be treated to its unique fashion. You shouldn't treat people who have shown the earth that with vast resources at their disposal, they can't get anything done. Roger Spice said the most intelligent thing years ago. He was talking about little blue black Africans and people who just live over there in the continent in general. When he was saying about how these guys are pretty much, for the most part, totally incompetent a lot of the time. But he says they get next to a pink guy and they just have genius levels IQ. And he was saying, like the father getting with his children, but it's like there's no real way to vindicate that blue black people came from white people. In fact, white people contend the opposite. So what I would say in conjunction with what Roger Spice is saying is that when they get next to their relatives, when they get next to their Middle Earth relatives, right on, that invisible thing that we can't see through the spectrum, right? That little spark of energy, bam, happens, takes place. When they're not around them and they're around a different polar energy, they don't get the same boost. Can you dig that? Adamites are not from Middle Earth, they're topsoil. So a Middle Earth guy might not get the same boost that he gets from a topsoil guy that he gets from a Middle Earth guy. I failed to explain that years ago, but I've virtually felt the same way. I've never felt differently about that, which is why I've always felt that the Middle Earthers got along for the most part so well. Even most of their beefs are orchestrated. Very few of them do I really have the that legitimate tinge of a feeling that they actually hate one another. Um, there's groups that could have easily wiped each other out. They could have, one group could have killed off the other group and just never has. So the idea is that either they're sacrificing these people to a deity and they met their numbers, okay, we're good, or they have to keep a false narrative alive, which is we all hate each other for these reasons. But if you look at certain groups of people in Africa, which what is known as the most genetically diverse place on Earth, did you know that? It is the most genetically diverse place on the entire planet, Africa. And it just, that would speak to why there are so many little beefs, because there are so many people who are coming from who come from the same Middle Earth family, but a different branch of the tree. You see, and one group might feel like they have stake or rights or claims to something that another group does not have. I failed you guys when I said that I was going to do the video about explaining how when certain groups came up here, they worship the sun because they seen the sun, and certain groups worship the moon because they seen the moon. And certain groups, when they came up during the twilight so they could see both. I never got to get into that because I forget where I went, you know. But hopefully I'm able to get back around to that and really just show to you guys how even that has a lot to do with how people act. Has a crap ton with how people act. Has so much to do with it. Um, Let me break one down to y'all real quick. How I know that Moses is not Akhenaten or Tut Moses or any of these other guys. Amun Ra or Ra is the sun god, right? Pretty sure it's Ra. And in the Egyptian lore, why this is so important? because the Israelite people didn't follow signs by the day; they followed signs by the night. Like who? Like their ancestors who worshiped the moon. Come on now. And this would be indication as to where white people got the whole solar year lunar calendar from. Not going to get too carried away with that right now. I just wanted to throw that out there. Put that in your hip pocket, please. Put that in your hip pocket, because one of these days I'm going to go back to it. And I'm not going to say I expect you to remember, but I would love for it to have at least a small level of a small piece of remembrance. You know what I mean? Like damn, that sounds familiar. Just a little familiarity. Um, it has to be done. It has to be done. I don't give a damn about the Portuguese looking for no gold. I couldn't care less. That is not the story that I know of my people. That is not the story that I'm going to go with. That is not the story I know of my people. That is not the story I'm going to go with. If you listen to that story, that reasoning, it totally mitigates the Spaniards and the English, just takes them right on out. And the French takes them right on out. Let's just fuck it. They don't even exist no more. It's crazy, y'all. Now, if I explain the relationship to the Francs, as from the Portuguese, as from the Spanish, as from the French, as from the English, you would be flabbergasted right now. I've already told you guys the exact connections, but if I went back and pointed out how each specific group comes now has a specific group of either the Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Burgundians, Jutes, Anglos, Scandinavians, right on, or Slavic people and their culture, it might make a little more sense. I've already told y'all they're all in on it. Every last single one of them is in on it. And the real story is that they're lying about the lie they're telling. Come on. See, that's the cold part. The lie that's meant to be the truth, they know is a lie that's a lie. That's deep as fuck. That's deep. That is super deep. They understand who they are, who they're dealing with. They overstand if they start treating the people that are the actual people, right? Who have a stranger within them a certain way, the people who are the actual group that's supposed to get away, right on, they're gonna get away. They're gonna find the way up out of here. They said, no, we can't have that. Not yet. Not yet. They don't want to have that. So one of those issues, y'all, that I've been saying for a long time, is that because they're the same people, they have nothing to lose by telling you a lie, where in which one of them is a villain and the other one's a good guy. They're all villains. You know what I mean? But if we agree 500 or 600 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or 1,500 years ago, okay, look, coming into this next century, this has got to be the story. This has got to be how we push it going forth. And as long as you're able to keep in line the outliers who were like, I just want to eat raw meat and fuck goats, right? As long as you can keep them in line, you're good to go. And that's how white people really are. I know they don't want to hear that. I know they don't want to hear. All they want to do is eat raw meat and fuck goats, but that's what they want to do. They're weird. They have no scruples. And I have no problem telling them that to their face. Right to their face. Y'all don't understand. Straight savage. I don't care. Don't care. You're talking about a group of people who have ovoid particles in their body naturally that they share with dogs, cattle, horses, and the like. You think I give a damn to tell them that they like to fuck animals? And I believe that they came from animals, partially? Please. Anyhow. And I'll say that to a nigga I'll say that to any black dude who's like that. Fucking sick ass abomination. Those are the people you're contending with. Goat fuckers. Okay? All right? All right? That's who you're contending with. The guys who go out there and plow the sheep and come back and plow their wife. And then the wife goes and sleeps with the black guy. And the black guy's wondering why his shit feels funny, but he's still sleeping around in the community. Come on now. Y'all don't really want to hear how I know for a fact where a lot of the diseases came from in the black community. Yeah, man-made because somebody was fucking an animal. It's about as man-made as it gets, huh? Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear about the booty boys that homosexual white slavers used to turn black men into. Now, they claim that they castrated every single one of these guys. I don't believe that. It's very believable that they used to sleep with those men, give them diseases, and send them back out to the slave population to further put disease into the. Come on, like, I mean, you gotta understand, none of this shit is new. None of it is new. None of it is new. You could actually argue it's a form of biological warfare, but I'm not even going to go there. It's just one of those things that makes me disgusted with people because they literally lack the discernment to see these types of things. It's like they understand. We've all seen movies that poke fun at people sleeping with animals. We've all seen them. But it's like, I just don't think that black people have the willingness it takes to say, okay, what does this actually mean for me and to me? Changes everything when you actually look at it from a certain point of view and a certain dynamic. It makes all of it different. All of it. It changes everything. Now, this just goes to speak on why I am careful about who it is that I choose to talk to. You know what I'm saying? Because they have used groups against the black man and black woman for so long to do this to them. The reason why there's so many black women, listen to this. I want you to understand this. The reason why there's so many black women with diseases is because they would rather sleep with the homosexual black dude because he's not looking for a relationship with them. Yep. I know that sounds sick and it sounds sad, but that's the real reason why a lot of the black women have diseases. It's not just because they go out there and have unprotected sex. It's who they're having unprotected sex with. They love, there are so many chicks who I know who love gay dudes for that reason. I know chicks who tell me all the time about the gay dudes that they fuck. And I'm like, what? This is crazy. But then again, when I think about it, I'm like, well, what makes this, what can turn off this man's natural biological desire, right on, his natural arousing of a woman? Like how there's no gay dude going to tell me that he's not attracted to women I don't believe that. You see what I'm saying? So when you start talking about how these chicks are getting us, you know, these getting us sick where they are, you know, when I say us, I'm talking about black men, it's because they're going out and they're sleeping with who they think are the most desirable of these men, and they're getting diseases from these men. They're coming home. God forbid their sexual partner, who's a man, is out there having sex with men himself. See, this is why this shit is so fucking, it is so foul, man. It is so foul. Like, these chicks will subconsciously pick a faggot. Like, subconsciously pick the gay dude. We'll leave the dude who is masculine. We'll leave the dude who won't, who if he can't lead you, he don't want nothing to do with you. Right on? I can have 2 pennies in my pocket. I still know more than you do, baby girl, any day of the week. So with that said, that means you need to listen to me. Give a fuck how much money you got. Now with that contended and put forth, right? These black men are just as wrong as these black women because they're not willing to turn it down. because she's easy. I'm going to lay up with her. I seen a video about 2 weeks ago on Organic the Illionaire or Organic the Maze Runners channel, excuse me. And it was a chick I should have aged Aram out. I should do an age Aram out, but I ain't. This chick put on blast everybody she done slept with and gave HIV to. Right? And she not even fine. She's an ugly motherfucker. But she called herself evil. She said, I'm an evil motherfucker. And she is. She is. She's evil and she's wicked. She's evil and she's wicked. But the dudes that were laying up with her, right on, are stupid or evil and wicked as well. Right. So am I supposed to feel bad all of a sudden because they're saying that a place like Atlanta by 2025, half the people who are practicing homosexuality are going to be diagnosed with motherfucking HIV or AIDS? Huh? I'm supposed to feel bad for them because of that? No, I think not. Am I supposed to feel bad because at a record number, there's black men who are killing other black men because now they're a so-called woman, they're a transgender, never told that black man that they used to be a man? Dude either found out the really hard way, like, somebody told him, you know what I mean? But you can only, the weirdo thing is that unless this person totally has their freaking genitalia cut off, they have that fake vaginal mesh thing put on them, right? And I'm sure that doesn't feel like the real thing. So I'm like, how did these guys not get suspect? You know what I mean? Like, because they can only perform one level of sexual intercourse with this person. That should make them suspect off tops. Off tops. Off tops. Vaginal intercourse can't even be expected with this person. That should already... Off tops, they should be fucking suspect. But, got a lot of thirsty ass dudes out here. Got dudes who won't even ask a chick for their ID. One of the first things I do to women when I start seriously talking to them, I always ask for the ID. I always say, let me see your ID real quick. And it's not to see how old they are. Nope. It's to, I'm not talking to a chick who's more than 5 or 6 years younger than me for the most part anyway, so I don't have to worry about that. But I ID them for partially, but you have to ID them so that way you know what their fucking birth sex is. Word? That's really the most important. And I started looking out for people's gender in like 4 or 5 years ago, because when I was a kid, we used to joke about dudes in Brazil, how Brazil had the most people with sex changes or whatever, right? It used to be funny until like you start seeing a bunch of people getting sex changes around you. Then you're like, oh, it's not that funny. Really not funny. Really not funny at all. And some of these guys are going super duper out of the way to be extra, extra feminine looking, right? So, yeah, you're just safe as a man to ID the chicks. You're just safe. You're so much better off like that. Yeah, you just are. You just are. Too bad there's no radar thing for when people have a fucking STD that you can just like wave across their body and it can just pick up an STD like right then and there. Too bad that like something like that doesn't exist. But they don't. So since they don't, you have to really be circumspect. And I would say to look to either, if you're not gonna want to be in a long-term relationship, you should practice being celibate. You should practice abstinence. You don't have to be celibate for the rest of your life, but you should probably seriously practice abstinence. If you don't want to be with one person for a long time, then the several people that you're with, they need to be people that you understand don't have any other sexual partners other than you. If you can't guarantee that, you probably shouldn't be doing it. Because the one time that you take a chance and you end up with something that you can't get rid of, or you end up with something that's in your system for forever, right? That won't kill you, but now you have to live with it, right? That's crazy. That's madness. That is madness. And I'm sure that's another reason why there's a lot of black dudes who don't have children, right? Got with the black chick, got gonorrhea or chlamydia from her or something like that. I'll never trust these bitches again, right? Been white women and Asians ever since, or whatever he likes ever since. Uh, there's other guys that's the opposite. Got with chicks of other races, had some really adverse sexual experiences, and were like, oh, yep. And they get with black women, and none of that adverse stuff ever happens to them. And they're like, yeah, it looks like I'm not stuck with black women, but it looks like I'm going to fare much better with them. So that's where that's where I'm going to cast my lot. And it's sad because black women don't realize that they're going to go be with dudes in other races who are doing the shit that I'm saying. These guys are fucking animals and all kinds of weird shit. Do you know right now in the UK, they're trying to get laws passed that says that animals are entitled to relationships too? What? Trying to pass some legislation that pretty much makes it to where a person can be in a relationship with an animal? Come on, y'all. Who's in charge of the UK? Who's in charge of Britain? White people. Right. Oh, you don't think white folks are signing off on that? If they didn't want the shit to get any traction, it would have zero traction. We wouldn't even hear about it. You can go look it up if you don't believe me. They're working on right now solidifying bestiality. Brexit should be the last of their fucking worries. Can you dig that? But if they achieve Brexit, oh, you know there's going to be some hanky-panky with some animals going on for sure. Fucking pathetic. Pathetic. And these are the dudes that black women want to go lay up with. Right. And wonder why black dudes look at her funny. I could care less about something like the website, like the what they call it, ghetto gaggers or whatever. Never been there. Will never go to it. Um, um, every time I see a black chick with a white dude, I know she's sucking and fucking this guy. So I don't have to go to a website, okay, and visually see it. When I can just look at somebody who's in a relationship and be like, oh, I know what they do. Right. But once again, these are the same black women who want you to vindicate their blackness because they have curly hair like you. Right on? When they're nothing more than a fucking sellout, a chump ass sellout. Do you know the only daughter of all the tribes of Israel who is vindicated to go back to her home only if she doesn't have children by the stranger, that is the daughter of the Levites? That's an instruction only given to the Levites. None of the other tribes. Not one of the other tribes. Did you know that? You know why that's important? Because it speaks to the daughters of the priest, because the priest used to do what? Used to have strange wives. Right. Right. So who's most susceptible to this happening to them? That's right. Daughter of the Levites. See, y'all don't even, I'm not saying y'all don't get it, but damn it, follow your boy. And I've been knowing this for a long time, but I can't lay everything that I know out at one track. And I do my best to bring it all forth when I can. And that's one of those things where you can look into the scripture. I'm vindicated by what I just said. I'll put more money that real black women that are not the stranger within us, okay, that are going after these white dudes are not Yehudites, but in fact Levites. I'll put a strong amount of money on it. And these chicks, this is why they look stupid to me, talking all that bullshit. That's why I'm so quick to say, you're not my people. I'm not claiming them if I don't have to. I'm not. You've been out here doing all this nasty stuff with all these people who aren't even our people. And another problem with that is they get sad because they have children with these people, right? And then people say that their children aren't black. And only certain people will be like, oh yeah, those are black people. But the people who normally say that they're not, the funniest thing is, the first people to say that her children aren't black are not black men, but black women. And that's on everything I love. The first people to tell a black woman that her children from a non-black man aren't black is another black chick who has black children with a black man. She'll never let that chick fucking hold the same weight that she holds, ever. Please. And that's on the 10 toes I got on my motherfucking feet. That's on all 10 of my phalanges. And on all 10 of these phalanges as well. That's on everything. That's why I always laugh when dudes get so upset about other guys coming at the chicks. I'm like, you need to get mad at the chicks, bruh. You need to get mad at the chicks because, see, but Tammy, they don't know because women don't make it. Dudes don't know women. A lot of these dudes don't know women. They don't, you know what I'm saying? They've only been in sexual relationships with them. They've never actually listened to a woman talk, right? They've never actually observed the different mannerisms that women engage in. I'm not saying that I've observed everything that women do, but I'm so attentive. You know, I'm so attentive to the fairer sex. Right on? To my better half, as they say. So attentive that I always give credence to things that I see happen more than not. And I have seen in my life since I was a little boy till now. I have cousins, okay, who have babies with white women. Their mothers fucking hate those women. I have cousins who have babies with mixed women, and they treat it totally different. But still, they understand that she's not really black, but she's not a full-blown white person. You dig it? But they could go. I have cousins who have children with garbage ass African chicks, okay? And they still enjoy those garbage ass Africans over the mixed and the white ones. Can you dig that? No matter how bad the African have treated them, they don't care about none of that. They don't even care about that. The fact that she's black matters more than anything. So I'm gonna give that credence to. I'm gonna give women the credit of actually trying to protect their genetic solidarity more so than men. I'm going to give that to women more so than men. I'm going to say that the first black woman to ever be bedded by a white guy in this country, whether it's an Aboriginal or the strange Negro that was brought here, I'm going to say that was through rape, force of rape. I'm going to say that it took a while for there to be willing bed wenches. Now, with that said, I will contend that the first black man to be with a white woman was consensual. And it has almost always been consensual between the two groups. Do people want to hear that? Of course not. Of course not. Now you got to realize, white dudes wrote the history. So they wrote the history favorable to them. But the thing is, modern day times don't show us that what they wrote down in history is even vindicated a little bit. Exactly the opposite. I laughed. I listened to this one schmuckatelli the other day, a black dude who's got some followers, but he don't really know shit. And he was talking about how chicks wouldn't suck him, she'd shuck him, right? He went through this whole little animation and shit, right? And I put in the comment section because I understood. I understand what he's talking about because I go through dudes, chicks, like a chick will be with her dude, and what I'm talking about will just boom, just staring at me. The dude will look over. I might catch the dude look, and I'll look at the dude, and then I'll see the chick. This shit it's madness. And normally, if I'm hella uncomfortable, listen, y'all, I could be headed straight. I will literally turn direct. I will go another direction, especially if I'm on. I will just go another direction. I will just get as far away from that situation as possible. As possible. I will just get as far away from it as possible. I don't care what the race the chick is. I don't care what race the dude is. That shit makes me so uncomfortable. It makes me so uncomfortable. And it happens to me all the time. So I understood what dude was talking about. How chicks just play the choose game. But I've been talking about the choose factor for years. So I'm never surprised about this type of stuff. And he's, and he's one of these type of dudes who talk about beta and alpha males. I won't get too carried away into that. But just the fact that he was speaking on how willing these chicks are to do this and do that, and it's just like, yes, the choose game. It's the choose factor. The choose factor is always. I'll get into that in a second. Give me one moment. A lot of black dudes, because there's more black women than black men, will always say that there's more black women doing it than black men are. If you go by the numbers, sure, but when you do the percentage as to black men engaged in the same activity to black women, it's almost always a profound more than black men who are involved than black women. I've already made this clear. If black women outnumber black men 2-1, for every one black man that dates out, he does 50% more of the damage than she does, if not a full-blown 100% more damage. Right. He does way more hurt than she does. Because even if you go 1-1, if 1 out of every 5 black men is in a freaking interracial relationship, 20%. Listen to what I'm saying. That means that the numbers of black women to men, because their numbers only like 12% or 8% or something like that. It's not nearly as high as black men. The numbers might be as high as far as physical people involved. Percentage is not the same. And the devastation that black men are going to do to the black population in the next 10 years, it'll be too late for them to see that their mixed breed children aren't black, and that 2 mixed breed people don't make more black people. They just make more mixed breed people. It will take them a long time to see it, very long time, to even acknowledge the damage that they've done. By that time, it'll be too late. Once again, I pray that we don't even get that far. I pray we don't get that far. The more guys that date out, the more feasible the 7 women to 1 man prophecy comes into fruition. Won't get too carried away with that. I'm gonna go to the choose factor real quick. The choose factor, sister, in its most simple forms, is any little reason a woman will tell herself, I would bed that man or let that man bed me. And the choose factor happens, and chicks do it so often that I try not to make it seem as if like only women do it, because guys choose too, but a man doesn't have the leeway unless he's rich and famous, and even sometimes that doesn't bring him or give him the leverage and leeway that a woman naturally has. But a man can choose, but a woman chooses way more than a guy does. Sister, this goes back into what I was saying the other day. No matter how big, nasty, and unattractive a woman may be, there is somebody who's willing to lay with her. Right on? Chances are she chose that dude, though. Chances are she could have denied that guy, even if she wanted to give it to him. Craziest thing. Craziest thing. I have a hard time believing that a woman is with any dude that she does not actually want to be with. You know what I'm saying? There's been chicks that kill them. There have been women that kill themselves, all right, for being put in a fucking arranged marriage. So if my personal humble opinion, if people are willing to dead themselves off so that way they're not forced into a marriage that they don't want to be in, they're not forced into a relationship that they don't want to be in, that tells me that she didn't choose this guy. Clearly. Clearly, she did not choose this guy. But if a chick goes kicking and screaming, hooting and hollering, but still marries this dude, tiny, incy, wincy little, there was a modicum within her, an iota, a scintilla that chose him. That's a fact. I don't give a damn what nobody says. I've seen too much, and it's not. I'm not jaded. I'm not overly jaded from seeing too much, but I've seen enough to stand by that. The choose factor is real, and the choose factor comes into play normally when a chick just thinks a dude looks better than her man. That's it. That's all. That's normally all it takes is for a chick to choose that guy over her dude. He could be a bum. He could be a fucking complete homeless bum on the street. And the chick could be like, oh, I could take that guy and make something out of him. And she'll look at her man like, this nigga. Seen chicks do it. Seen chicks do it my whole life. Seen them do it. I know how they get down. I'm not saying that, oh, every single woman is built like that, but a heavy percentage are built like that. Most men date with their eyes. If a dude is going to tell you he's not dating with his eyes, he's a motherfucking liar. He's a liar. He is a liar. People would see my son's mother, depending on what shape. I haven't seen her in years. I haven't seen her fucking since 2015, dog. It's been over 4 years. Listen, depending on what shape she's in, right? People would be like, oh, she's bad. But to me, she was just regular. She was average. Okay. So to a lot of people's standards, I'm shallow. But I'm not shallow. I just know that I'm not getting with just anybody. It's just that simple. Sorry. So if you don't look a certain way, your chances of getting with Demetrius, I don't give a fuck how much money you have, how special the chick thinks she is. Chances are I'm not getting with her. Just that simple. Beautiful soul and all that. Bah. No, not hearing all that. I'm pretty sure Leah wasn't bad looking compared to Rachel, but Rachel was that much better looking that Jacob was just in love with her. That much he loved her like that. You see what I'm saying? And people like that has nothing to do with nothing. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Abraham's wife Sarah, even though she was his sister, she was very attractive. Very attractive. Rebecca was also very attractive. They make it a point in the scripture to point out when these women are attractive or when men are attractive. They make it a point. Okay? When Joseph was alive, he was the most attractive dude in the land. Of all of Egypt and the whole fucking land. He was the best looking dude. So it's not a surprise that the Pharaoh's wife or the king's wife tried to throw herself at him. You feel me? Right. Should it surprise you? Should it surprise you if you really look at it like that? And think of the most handsome black man you've ever seen and put him in that position. And he's all by himself with this woman. Right. Right. Think about it for a second, y'all. People date with their eyes, men especially. Men especially. Chicks do, but men really date with their eyes. But men don't have the options that women have because they don't get to choose. So a guy, if he doesn't have the confidence that he can get a better mate than that woman, then he'll settle. And then he'll talk about, well, you know what? She might not be that pretty, but she's a hell of a woman, and she's an excellent cook, and she has a beautiful soul. Come on, she has a great personality. That's normally when the personality takes over. And I know I've deviated so far from 1619, but I'm just saying, y'all, like, man, I just wish y'all just please, whenever y'all guys just get the time, just go people watching. I encourage you to people watch. I encourage it of all races to understand how different races commingle with one another, but really just to see the universal behavior in certain activities and to understand it. It's no different in any culture. All people date with their eyes. When you eat, you're eating with you eat for taste, dog. Right on? You eat for taste. You're not eating because it looks good. You want it to taste good. You hope that it smells good, but it could look bad and smell bad. If it tastes good, chances are you're going to eat it, especially if it's something that you know that you would eat. Looks good, smells great, tastes awful. Chances are you won't take another bite. And you'll tell everybody that that's some bullshit. You'll tell everybody when you get the chance that there is some bullshit. And that's a fact. Now, let me go ahead and get back to my original point before I get ready to get off this with y'all. Oh, yeah. What are your favorite pastimes? Stop it. Love it. I love it too. It's because you learn a lot when you people watch, you know. And I'm not saying sit in one area and just start watching people. No, just go for a walk and, fuck, if you got to get on the bus, get on the bus and just watch how people act on the bus. Bring your little pepper spray with you, your little 38 or whatever. So just in case shit gets, a little hairy, you gotta you have a way out. But yeah, it's healthy to watch the habits of people. It's very healthy. That's why the things that I'm saying right now, a person doesn't have to agree with them, but they most definitely can't deny it all. Most definitely cannot deny it all. And that's the special part about it. That's the beauty in it. You know, 1619, y'all. Is this our year? While I just keep going from one thing to the next thing, but is this our year? Huh? Are we going to be able to people watch ourselves until the end? Get to watch the mannerisms of people change and to see how much they are going in lockstep with the prophecy. How many of y'all are waiting to see until the Gentiles, right on, realize that they've inherited nothing but lies, vanities, and nothing of any true profit until the days of the Gentiles be fulfilled? Come on, till the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Can you dig it? Who's all waiting for that day? In lockstep with other things. Word? Like the rams whose horn they're trying to break. Word? Can you dig it? I just can't stress this stuff enough. I can't stress this stuff enough. We're at a junction. We're at a crucial junction at a crucial time. Every day seems long to us because we live within the confines of time because we die. If we didn't die, then time itself would be immeasurable. Right. It's only measurable because we have there is a finite period where in which one will live and they will die. It's the only thing that makes time measurable. Time wasn't specifically measured until the day, in my mind, that Adam ate the fruit with Eve. And in particularly Adam, because Eve eating the fruit, the Most High could have just destroyed Eve and made another one. Or he could have did something different, but that's not what happened. When Adam eats the fruit, Adam literally starts the clock of life on people. Right. Literally, he started the clock of life. How long was Adam in the garden? With Eve. Hell, before Eve. With Lilith. Huh? How long was he in the garden? How long was that period? No one knows. All right? This is why people say thousands of years or millions of you could never know. Am I overreaching here? Does it say which day the serpent came into the garden and misled the woman Eve? Or does it just say that the serpent was the most cunning, right on, of all the brutes? Can you dig it? Or the most crafty? See what I'm saying? Adam, when he ate the fruit, started the clock for time in this life. So now we need to start watching for the times. Okay? We must watch for these times. They are crucial, pertinent that we see some of these things happening. I'm not going to see every look. The wall and the walls of Babylon was, I'm not going to say that was obvious, but that was easier to see than some of the other things that we're going to have to look for coming into the future. It was much more simple to do than some of the things we're going to have to look for coming into the future. I need this is all hands on deck. This is all hands on deck, y'all. Everybody matters at this point. The people who are working against us matter. Because how effective will they be working against us? Or will they be counterproductive in their efforts and ultimately help us? See, everything matters. Can't stress it enough. The only dude I ain't never seen on the whole internet that I have any kind of real respect for is Cerulean Gray. Do I think that he sometimes borders almost throwing himself into the faceless coward conversation almost? Sometimes, yeah, because you can only speak on men's masculinity so much, and I've never seen you. Right on? And just because people seen you in the past doesn't mean they can see you now. Another guy like that, Professor Blacktruth. Never seen him. But I have very little respect for him because of how he uses the same wicked measures that white people are using to try to further his agenda. I can't respect that. And has the nerve to call what he's saying righteous out of his dirty fucking lips. Doesn't even make sense. And I troll the shit out of him. I troll the shit out of him. He knows I do. Whatever they call trolling, I'm always around. I watch people. If you monitoring the activity of those that you feel could possibly be a detriment to your people is trolling, then I'm a troll by many means. By many means, I am a troll. Because I don't trust these motherfuckers for the most part. Trust no BGS type guys. I don't trust no. Well, once again, you can only talk so bad about some of these dudes because a lot of them used to make videos with their faces being seen. But the fact that they make it a point to not want to be seen speaks volumes on them. And it speaks to the level of cowardice that they're working in. There was a guy many moons ago who said that he didn't show people his face because he didn't want people to worship him. But me and Andre have come to the understanding that he probably didn't want people who were going to bust his head wide open, right? To know that it was him, or people who have dirt on him to say, oh, this dude's full of shit, don't listen to him. However, that individual no longer even makes content anymore, so it doesn't really matter. But it's just one of those things where there were guys who I called out for not showing their faces. One of them in particular being the reluctant Nabi. And the reluctant Nabi, to me, for all intents and purposes, is a Middle Earth Gentile. There's a bunch of Middle Earth Gentiles that grow afros. There's a bunch of Middle Earth Gentiles that grow afros. However, Kawambi, whatever his name is, he's an African. He's a Middle Earth Gentile dude. And he used to say the most incorrect shit about the Most High's people. He used to say the most absurd things. It wasn't until I really got on this dude that he went from calling, he stopped talking about the Israelites and the Hebrews to Afro-Indigenous people. This is a fact, y'all. FACT, all truth. I did that. I did that to that man, all by myself. There are countless of people on YouTube. They could have anywhere from a couple thousand subs to a few 100,000 subs to fucking a million of them. If they have seen Demetrius Jones in anybody's comment section, and normally I light people up whenever I'm coming around trolling, they don't want none. Now they might come and look on my shit and be like, oh, he has a few hundred subs, he's just looking for attention. But no, I don't need your attention, dog. I feel like my intellectual ability is so much greater than so many of my peers that there's no real argument. You know what I'm saying? Most of the guys who claim to be more knowledgeable than me, most of these dudes are easily 12 to 15 years older than me. A lot of them are old enough to be my father. You see what I'm saying? So I would hope that if you're older than me, there would be certain facets you are more knowledgeable than me in. Because if I know more than you about everything and I'm younger than you, you can't teach me shit. You can't tell me shit. It's the way it is. That's why I always give people a chance to say what they're going to say, just to see how much they know. And what they say initially tells you how much they know. Because if a person does not, once again, work on combining every piece of information that they know into one cohesive thought process, they will leave out information that they know is either contradictory or more supportive to their point, therefore mitigating what they're saying. Case in point, these guys talk about ADOS. Okay, let me tell you what 1619 does to ADOS before we leave up out of here. 1619 makes it to where either those ADOS guys are going to have to, once again, now you're going to have to vindicate and prove. Now you have to do what I've been saying. You have to show that that's a different genetic class of people. Woo! I am leaps, bounds, jumps, miles ahead of these guys. I am not a tastemaker. I am a trendsetter who just doesn't get any love. I give these guys and gals something to talk about. You got cats who come and take ideas from me, people who will take the idea from them, not realizing they copped that from me, pimp. They got that from me, pimping, player. Do you know? Y'all can go back and look for this shit. 2 years ago was the first time I went to BGS's channel. I've been talking about the 2/3 compromise, or not 2/3, but a 3/5 compromise, right on, where black people are made a 60% of a human being. I've been talking about that, all right? And one of the things that I spoke on in this is that black people were made to be 3/5 of a person for the only for the voting process. And I said that regular white people thought like this. Do you know BGS had the fucking audacity to tell me that, oh no, they did that simply for legislative purposes only, and that the average run-of-the-mill white man didn't believe that? Then he suggested a book that I went and bought and read, White Trash to Me. And the book that I read supported me, not him. Now, at the time, Cerulean didn't know who I was. He assumed I was some kind of spy or whatever the fuck. But these same people have turned on Cerulean. I still got his back. Can you dig it? Still got his back like a brick wall. But bro, at the time, tried to say that Abe Lincoln was assassinated over foreign speculation, when I made it clear that Abe Lincoln was assassinated because he had effectively introduced to the United States what's known as the civil rights now. It was called the Lincoln Laws. Can y'all dig that? I explained all this stuff. These are things that these guys just recently started talking about because it just recently got famous, or not famous, but the popular to speak on the slave stuff the way that people have been speaking on in this last year. And this black grievance thing that they've been talking on for this last year. But I've been speaking on this stuff. It is not new to me. And I didn't brother and sistering up Africans. I didn't make all those people my brothers and sisters. I said we were different from the jump. Only now do they want to separate themselves. But I've been told y'all to separate yourselves. Been told you to. Because they're not you. Even if you are genetically related to a certain people coming from there, right? They don't see it the way that you see it. Until they get here and get totally mistreated by the system, then only do they say, oh, it is hard to be black in America. Only then do they understand. But until they actually get here, oh, the black man is lazy. He has all these opportunities and he just does not use one of them. And it's like, really, bro? We built this whole fucking nation and yet we're lazy. But once again, that's going back to the 3/5 compromise and people's lax understanding of history or their willingness to ignore things that are just completely obvious. How does one get over the fact that the 3/5 compromise, right on, the Connecticut compromise, sure, it was talked about for a long time, long before I ever brought it up. But as far as black YouTube is concerned, this one, I brought that to the forefront again for black people in a very special way. Okay. I spoke on the assassination of Abe Lincoln in the way that I spoke on it. And everything that I've been saying has been coming to more or less to the light. This 1619 thing, though, what Andre made me laugh when he said it. He said, you finally made it to the big leagues, bro. I laughed so hard when he said it, but it hurt me because It's like when I read the book of Enoch and I read that whole, if you die on earth and you don't pretty much get what you deserve here on earth, great is the reward in the kingdom of heaven. And I'm like, man, that sounds good. But just a little, bro did say that. Yeah, bro said that. And nobody else was even on that same wavelength of energy. All these people were talking about swirling and the fucking gender war a year and a half ago. I'm the only one. I'm the only one. Me. I had a fucking dirty ass nigga scribe fucking ruin our Middle Earth. He ruined our Middle Earth project, where I can't even go back and redo what I was going to do because he did so much damage that there's more people who have seen his work than mine. Okay. And they would naturally assume that I got the concept from him and not vice versa. And I don't have time to explain to people that the dude was wrong about so many different things. Just one of those niggas throwing anything to the wall and seeing what sticks. Demetrius Antoine Jones does not theorize about anything, especially if he can help it. It might be something that's based in theory, but I'm not theorizing. I am making it an absolute. That's why I speak to the information the way I speak to it to you guys. So that way you understand, to me, this is bona fide. All right. It's not just something that I read in a book and I accepted it because I read it in a book. No, I read it in a book and I thought about my life. You know what I'm saying? And I say, you know what? I've seen this somewhere, or I haven't seen this very much. I actually see more of this than that. That's how I go about my life. And I can't teach anybody how to think or how to or how to live in their life or how to be comfortable in their skin. I don't have that ability. The only ability I have as a black person, as a black man in particular, right on, is to undoubtedly cause a level of frustration and hatred towards the so-called dominant society, but as I like to say, those with all the leverage, to where they get so frustrated, so tired of my black ass. The first thing they want to say, first thing they want to do is, how can we get rid of him? How can we get rid of him? Did I ever tell you guys I came one time and I actually deleted that white heaven shit off of my thing? So they must have put it back on there. I deleted it off because I couldn't watch it anymore. I was like, oh, this is bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta do it. Yeah, I know. That day, but when that day comes, bro, when they finally fucking decide to boot me out of here, if they ever get around to that, it'll be because things that I've said about China, Russia, and Iran are taking place, or that wall is getting way out of hand, and they might remove me then if I start talking like I know what I'm talking about. But I can only be so thankful to you guys, man, just for being so supportive. It has been just this last year, from when I got that ERPO put on me, to all the support that you guys have had, to all the little different discoveries that we've made amongst one another, all the information that has been shared and relayed. There has been so much growth in 1 year, and another year of growth. And I just want to keep that growth going. I don't want to lose that growth with you guys. I want that to be something that we look forward to with one another. It is a blessing. It really is a blessing. I appreciate everything that you guys have done. If we get through this year, we got another long 3 months to go. Well, technically 4: September, October, November, December. Another 120 days. 120 days is a lot of days. A whole lot could go wrong and a whole lot can go right in 120 days. A whole 1/3 of a year.
And in 2/3 of the year, things have managed to get way out of hand. Do people even remember that at the start of this year they were detaining migrant children, right? Right? They were separating them from their parents. Do people even remember that? Huh? Do folks remember that? That was the start of this year. We've gone from that to fuck that, send them home. Come on. Oh, but they're separating them now with some class. Before no class. They had no class about it. They was like, they was treating Mexicans like they was blacks. You feel me? We're gonna show y'all how we did these niggas back in slavery. Only we ain't gonna beat you in your back and take your clothes off you. But we're gonna separate that ass. And we're gonna see little babies having little baby heart attacks and fathers crying and mothers crying and pulling out their hair and shit and wondering what's gonna happen to my baby. A lot of people knowing that this might be the last time I see my child. Come on, come on. What black people went through. We've been through that. Black people go through that every day still. When somebody called CPS on them because he's a hard working man. He's a single father. 3 kids he's raised them all by himself. And his 3 children to, are intelligent. They know how to read, they know how to write. But you know what? He's not able every day to provide a fresh hot meal for them, right? Sometimes they might not eat, or they just might not eat very much, but they have a roof over their head, they have clean clothes, right on. So he makes sure that even though you might not get what you think you need every day, I'm going to make sure you have what you need when you need it. And they'll take a black man's children like that away from him, because one day the child might go to school, might mix breakfast before class, and go to class and say I'm hungry, right? And the teacher will be like, "Well, didn't you eat breakfast at home?" And he says, "No, I only eat breakfast at school, right? We never eat breakfast at home, right? We don't have that. We don't have that much food at home, or something like that. Something that raises a red flag to the teacher. Now that black man is losing his family, right? He ain't, but he's not trailer trash Joe. Word, who's gonna spend all his food stamps on some amphetamine, right? And trade it for a few shots. No, he's and as many black men as there are who will sell their food stamps for a sack of weed, there's way more black men who do what the fuck they're supposed to do. There's way more. There's way more. Most of the people who sell their food stamps, suffice it to say, are older people who don't need the food stamps. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. When I have my EBT card, you might get me to sell my stamps, but normally I'm not doing that. Want to know why? Because it spends like real money, dog, when you go and get food. Right. So why would you give somebody half value for it? When you spend it in the store, for every dollar in EBT, it's a dollar of 50 credited to that store. So for every dollar, they get an extra 50 cents essentially. Once again, not saying that I've ever done this, but there are people who will buy food stamps dollar for dollar because they know that and they're not greedy and they still win. Thank you very much. What? You don't know? Anyway, that's how a lot of these restaurants get down. How do you think most of these restaurants stay open like that? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not knocking the hustle, but I know a lot of those restaurants have people who go, maybe the manager or somebody who works in management who will go and they might know a few people who they buy their EBT cards off of, and they might go buy the most expensive items for that restaurant with EBT. And they might have been doing this shit for years. But nobody's really, stopping them. But anyhow, my point is this right here is that black people face odds that nobody else is going to have to face in this country. While you're here, you're going to be up against shit that nobody else is up against. All black people, all the way from the stranger to Israel, all right? All the way from the Gentile to the Adamite. They're literally like It's going to be bad for us coming to here real soon. It's going to be more trying for Black people in the next year, if we get it the whole year, than it has probably ever been. At this time next year, they're going to be telling people you need to get your passport if you still plan on flying. So it was one thing to be a felon and you couldn't leave the country. You can't get a passport as a felon. So guess what you have to do if you want to go anywhere? You have to drive. Damn. Just like that. Right. If you are an illegal, you can't go to no airport and fly no more after October next year. You're going to have to drive. Just like that. It hasn't happened to them yet. Don't worry. When it does happen, there's not going to be no saving them because it'll be too late. It's getting late. I don't want to hold you guys up too much longer. So I'm gonna bust my gums for a few more minutes and then I'm gonna let this ride. But you need to really be on your P's and Q's all the way. And you can't be afraid to separate yourself from anyone that is going to or is trying to keep you from being closer to the Most High and having a better understanding of self. Anybody who will tell you, oh, well, white people come from Black people. No offense, I wouldn't even deal with them. They wouldn't even be an acquaintance of mine. Can you dig that? Not even. I only want to deal with people who think like-minded. We don't have to agree on everything, but if we can't agree that Noah's sons are triplets, right on. If we can't agree that yeah, just on that. Forget everything else. If we can't agree that reading when it says, and Noah was 500 years old and begot 3 sons, if that don't mean that those boys are triplets, and people want to say, well, maybe he had more than one wife, but where is that ever written in the scripture? When they get off the boat, he gets off the boat with his wife, not a wife of Noah, but the wife of Noah. Right. So how does that even make sense? But people will contend in everything. If white skin was normal on planet Earth, why does it tell us that Noah had skin that was white as snow and red as a rose? And why does his dad freak all the way out when he sees him and assumes that he wasn't born from his loins? No, but assume his wife stepped out and had sex with an angel. Right. I want to hear that? No? So what color could they have possibly been? What skin tone could the people have possibly been? Furthermore, for the angels of heaven, okay, that those 7 who seem like white men, for them to seem like white men, why would it call them white men if men were already white on planet Earth? Once again, I'm only dealing with people that are like-minded, not somebody who's trying to get me to think that a circle is really a square and a square is really a triangle and the triangle is really a circle. No. Sorry. Go try that shit with somebody else. Go find another one because I'm not he. And whoever he is, not I. 1619, Black people. We're in 2019 right now. But there's a really good chance that if we get out of this year and things are looking tumultuous coming into the next year, like the Most High God said, pray the flight is not in the winter. And he said that through the Messiah, confirming that nobody knows. Only the Most High actually knows. But that was confirmation that even he that was sent doesn't actually know the day when he's going to be sent down here to do what it is that he's supposed to do, which is bust heads all the way wide open. And he's going to do it all through frequency. That's how powerful he is. That's how powerful he is. Anyhow, I have had a ball talking about whatever I've been talking about these last 3 hours. I've had a ball, a blast, no exceptions. And it's a blessing, y'all. It really is that things have happened the way that they're happening. You know. No, I'm not messing with that. But maybe people get into next year, they get a couple signs of false hope, forget about everything I said, and then bad things start happening. And I'm the type of guy that if you ignore me once, you really don't have to worry about me ever telling you again. You know what I'm saying? I only repeat myself because I know that I must repeat myself. But for me to individually break ranks on something that I know I may have spoke about before, and the only reason why a person would be in that position is if they didn't believe me, then I probably don't have anything to say. More than likely, it's you didn't believe me in the first place, and the only reason why you want to believe me now is because something adverse has happened. That's bullshit. See what I'm saying? It should not take you going through bad things, right? It should not take you going through um, um, adverse situations, things that a person might have pointed out that are possible to take place. For you to say, "Oh, hey, they were right." That's bullshit. Because that person, well, I mean, if they're a pushover, they might be like, "Oh, thank God that you finally realized." Me, I'm the type of person that I kind of just feel like, well, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Because that means that all the precious oxygen and energy that I put into telling you that before, you didn't appreciate it. So double fuck you. And that's just how I feel. And ain't nobody ever gonna make me feel no different. Nobody will ever make me feel different about that. Because I have put so much on the line. I have put a countless amount of things on the line. When one of your so-called other black YouTubers has anything close to an ERPO on them, please let me know. Right on? And I'm not talking about guys that are foolish enough to get online and tell you about the gun laws in your state, okay? That's foolishness. Best thing you could do is just tell people you need to look up your state laws and give a couple examples. You don't show people how to do things that empower them where in which they were never meant to be empowered. You show things to people, things that it will not change the power structure. Won't change it. You getting a gun as a black person to white people changes the power structure. Because now you have the effective ability to defend yourself. Changes everything. See what I'm saying? So when you give to them anything other than what is already theirs, once again, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Okay? Don't do anything else. When black people go out of their way trying to prove that they're just as American and just as patriotic as the rest of them, that's where they make them. That's normally where the fatal mistakes are made, because there's almost always somebody within that group of people, that cast of white people, who says some shit like, you know what? This guy is dangerous. And if we keep letting him do this, he's going to be more dangerous than all of us. And if he's more dangerous than all of us, maybe the rest of them see how dangerous he is and follow suit. Can't have that. Can't have that. Not going to have that. There's practically a gun per person floating around in the United States. Practically. That's a lot. That's a lot of firearms. If a civil war were to happen today, the vast majority of it would be over in the first few hours. There would be so many dead people, and contending that people either run out of ammunition, weapons malfunction, and don't have the parts to replace it, firearms will only be used so long anyway until it resorted to brutal melee combat. Neither here nor there. But they don't want you to know that. You know why? Because if you knew that, then that means that you might not engage in the first wave of combat. You might wait for all these guys to for the most part, knock themselves off, and then poke your head out and say, "Aha, I have a chance." Because of black people who are, once again, I always laugh when black people think that there's more of them than there actually is. I'm like, what makes you guys think that? Like, I've been in hella places where I'm like, I'm sure there's not as many black people as they claim there is. So to me, 13%, whatever they don't, that's been the same number for forever. Okay, well, you have people who don't identify as black anymore because they're half breeds. You have people who've been all the way bred out and are no longer black, right? You have what else? What else do you have with these black people that pretty much gives the advantage to these white folks and everybody else, as far as numbers are concerned? And you have just overall devastation of violence that affects black people unnaturally and unnormally, as well as disease. So where I do want to say that, yeah, black people are more of this, more. A lot of the numbers of the people, of the influx of numbers of the so-called black population have been through black immigrants in the last 20 years, not through the birthing cycle. They want to hear that? Even though black people have had a shit ton of babies, there's been a crap ton of abortions, and there's been a crap ton of murders, overdoses, premature deaths, right on, that stymie what should have been a robust growth of people. But this also keeps in line the prophecy, like the Most High God says, my people are few. Say that again. He said, my people are few. So all these guys who want to go against what the scripture has written, I can't rock with them, and I don't rock with them. And I pray they all get stoned to death come that day. I literally mean that. I pray they get stoned to death come that day. Or cut down with the sword, whichever one. I don't want them to get shot. I want them to, like, old-fashioned die. I want them to die an old-fashioned death. Not some new school witchcraft fucking destruction wand nonsense. I want them to die the way that they're supposed to die. People are like, who are you? I'm gonna die one day, so it don't matter. I'm out of here one day. Ticking time bomb, like the rest of them. But the difference between me and them is that I'm actually trying to do as much as I can for my people. Again, positive words to you is doing a whole lot. But giving you a sense of importance, grandiose, is even more. That's the most vital thing I can do for you. To tell you how important you are. To tell you how everybody on this planet owes you something. If there is electricity in their country, running water in their country, if they use drapery, blinds, okay, they owe you. They owe you. They owe you for far more than they could ever want to pay you for. So therefore, I'm gonna let them default on that payment, because what I'm owed, I'll take. What you're owed, you'll take it one day. Don't worry. Why you think I said reparations would be all of these bastards, white, black, whatever color, anybody who's been against black people, especially the white ones, though, to just get the sharpest sword they can find and follow me. Just fucking follow the sword. That's it. You don't have to pay me nothing, dog. I'll take everything I want. You got these stupid ass guys talking about cut the check. They're gonna let the U.S. government cut them a fucking a valueless check. What value does the U.S. dollar really have? How much value do you think it's still gonna have in the years to come? You think it's gonna have the same value as silver and gold, even copper or bronze, as they say? You think it's gonna have same value as any other rare mineral? Talking about that physical fiat paper stuff. So this is a legitimate question. because they're all worried about a paycheck. And I'm like, just give me the shit that's of true actual value, true physical value. Give me that. I don't want nothing that has a white man's face on it. No thing. Don't send me no motherfucking quarters. Melt the shit down into silver bullion and make it bars. Same thing with the gold. Melt it down, give me some bars. Matter of fact, you ain't even got to do it. I'll do it myself. Give me all that. Give it all to me. I'm not afraid to say that come that day, I'm taking what's owed. No, I'm not afraid, 0%. In a day or so, y'all, I'm going to send everybody whose email that I have an email. I'm going to send you guys a link so that way you guys can hit up YouTube about my video, White Heaven, the Rapture that already happened. And I'm going to need you guys to challenge that for me, because that is hands down by far. I mean, that's just the coldest live stream I think I've ever done. I laid it all on the line in that one. Maybe not everything that I know right now at this point, but everything I knew, I laid it all on the line. I laid it all on the line. I just put it out there. Bam. There's a bunch of little things that I, and I know for a fact that me speaking on the Jews the way that I spoke on them, the way that I spoke on white landowners who stole. Listen, y'all, a year ago, your boy talked about how they stole the land, right? I sent Andre and I sent Martin and I sent a couple other people this article talking about the great land loss or the great land theft, right? This is shit I spoke on over a year ago, y'all. Over a year ago, I spoke on it. And I know that other people have talked about it, but I really actually explained the events that were used to not only try to say that they help black people, but force them off the land. Come on, man. Explain why they built the ghettos, the concrete plantations that they built for black people, why they built them, where they built them. Come on. Come on. Does anybody not remember? The one brother who helped develop like the little what's it called? The something gardens over there in New York. And if you look at that apartment complex, is square-ish, but it still has like a dome-ish circular type feel to it. Whereas all the other buildings in New York are built straight up and square. Now, if anybody knows anything about structural integrity, a circle or a dome type building has much more resistance to all the weather. Far more resistance. The reason why is because the physics of how it's built, it can more easily, the way it's built, it can diverge energy. It can divert energy better. You see what I'm saying? Whereas the walls, seeing that they're straight, it has to literally resist the entire impact. Something that has curvature to it can just dissipate the impact. But that's neither here nor there. It's just me talking about it real quick. The fact of the matter remains, they allow for people to build the prisons that they put black people in. Okay? Black people have been reluctant to leave these prisons since the advent of mechanization in the rural South. That chased black people from being sharecroppers. The last little few that there really were that were still sharecroppers strong, the mechanization of everything chased them all out. Right. What Jim Crow couldn't do, right on, technology did, witchcraft did. Isn't that amazing? And people don't even say that. People don't even acknowledge that. Isn't it even more amazing that your boy pointed out the fact that how Jim Crow and all these different little things all happened at one time? One big fist. Eugenics, everything. Isn't it funny how I pointed all that out? The same people for the Rockefeller Institute are the same people who donated most of the money, okay, to the study of eugenics. No? Don't find that funny that they're building the fucking housing for Black people. See, once again, there are so many gems that I dropped in that damn video. I mean, it is laden with gems. Laden with gems. It don't get no better. As Chris Tucker said in Money Talks, it don't get no righter. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't have been any righter about it, y'all. I did the damn thing. I really did. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just thinking about that video, and I need to do another one. I need to do another White Heaven, the rapture that already happened, and just say, forget it. You know? I mean, I think I need to do another one. Yeah, bro, you're absolutely right, bro. The YouTube elites couldn't take that one because I was talking about the granddaddies and the grandpappies and the grandmamas. Right on? The great greats. I was talking about all they people. All they was pissed off. All they was pissed off. But can you blame them for being angry? Can you blame them for not wanting to hear what I have to say? Because they may feel as if I antiquated some of the things about their history. Couldn't give a damn. Couldn't give a damn. Really, I couldn't. The time of the Gentiles will probably be, I'm not going to say that this is exactly what it's going to look like. Bold prediction, though. There's going to be more white people who are ready to do what John Brown did than are not. More quadroons and octoroons, can you dig it? Who are ready to do what John Brown did than who are not. How painful do you think it must be for somebody to find out that they're not really white? And that the whole life, the people that they've been hating, you're actually one of them. Or at least part of them. There's some that they're where you come from. How do you think people feel about stuff like that? Right. It's a hell of a thing. Hell of a thing. The Gentile that is a stranger, that is higher above the people, when they realize that you're not actually special, that you're just a stranger that's higher above the people, oh, you don't think that they're going to realize that they inherited nothing but lies, vanities, and nothing of any true profit? Yes, they will. It'll be no different from them either. It's 10:15, y'all. We got till it says 3.5 hours on my little live thing here. That's 3 more minutes when I'm done. I am so blessed to have had the Most High to break me down the way He did. I really am. I am so fortunate to have had that happen in my life. I tell myself every night, and this is something that I say to myself, the best thing that ever happened to me is one of the worst, I feel was one of the most destructive things to me. But because it destroyed so much of what I believed and so much of what I was and who I thought I was, the rebuilding process, the remolding process has been one that has been not just enjoyable, but even through the pain and the hardships, I find contentness. And in that, I find happiness. If I'm content, I'm happy. I really don't know where I would be right now. I think about that all the time. I mean, you guys don't know, like, that almost drives me to tears when I think about that sometimes. I don't even know where I would be. Before I met my son's mother, like, my life was like crazy. Like, I was just like, I had it all figured out, and then shit didn't go how I thought it was gonna go, and I tried to pick up the pieces, and then I just got crushed again. And by the time I met her, I was just like, you know what, this is my chance to make right. And for the most part, I really thought like prayers were like answered type shit. And then it just turned out to be almost the opposite, but maybe not the opposite, just not what I expected it to be. And And in that, you know, I've been able to accept the roughest things, because the worst thing that can happen to a man other than dying has happened to me, you know, which is your lady being with somebody else. That there is outside of like a child dying, there is no child without the woman. So the one thing that's gonna hurt a man like the most is his chick leaving him for another dude. You know what I mean? Or just being with other men. Happened to me. It's happened. It's over. You know. So I guess not I'm not invulnerable to that, but I'm most definitely much more impervious than I would have ever thought I would be to that whole feeling and that whole concept. Um, and I'm not sure if people have been broken down like that, you know, where I've been at the lowest I can be, you know, the lowest I've been to rock bottom in my life already. So I really can't go to rock bottom again because that was rock bottom last time. So it's like, it's whatever, you know, like that's just the bottom now, you know, and when you can accept that part of your life, when you can accept that's what it is, then you're gonna be okay. You know what I mean? But it took me a long, long time. It took me a very long time to be able to possibly accept a rock bottom. Now I have to go all the way back up. But once I knew that the only way was up, you know, I was able to re-strengthen myself. And this is what I want you guys to do, man. It's just know that as low as you may have been in your life, if you don't know that you've been at your lowest, then you may not have ever been there. I don't want you to go to your lowest. I don't want you to ever get there. But if it takes that for you to accept what it is, this our situation, our circumstance, then so be it. Um, I'm already freaking about to be 2 minutes over the time I wanted to cut it short. So let me go ahead and get this off out of my mouth, and then I'm done. I always say this, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. If no one else believes in you, I believe in you. Love you too, sister. Good night. You take it easy. If nobody else believes in you, I believe in you. That's a fact. There is no doubt about it. And that is all the way the truth. And that should mean something to you, because I'm not somebody who's ever. I'm not. I'm not asking you for anything other than to give me the chance in the day to say what I have to say. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you know, toss me to the wayside. But at least give it a chance. Give yourself a chance, a fighting chance to actually live. 1619, y'all, huh? You think this is our year? Anybody? Before I get ready to salute you and say goodnight, is anybody other than I convinced that this might not be it? That said, I love y'all to death. Would ride for any one of you. Like I would go out of my way for my son, I would go out of my way for any one of you. And that's a fact. I appreciate you more than you probably will actually be able to ever know in this life. But if the Most High God has the chance to show you my appreciation in my soul and in my spirit, then you will know that day. But until then, it's really hard to know how much I appreciate y'all. I thank you very much for your time. I speak nothing but life and prosperity in its highest levels in regards to you. May you guys have a blessed week. Again, I salute you again. Now take it easy.